I also made some tea and stuff for myself earlier. So should be good to carry on through the night. Got a lot of water, got a lot of hot tea to soothe the throat and stuff because, yeah, throat issues. I mean, not like serious issues, but just irritations. Or, no, I wouldn't say like irritations as in like, just stuff that bothers my throat every once in a while at night. I don't know, it's always at nighttime. I don't understand. Like, I carry on throughout the whole day just fine. When it comes to nighttime, then it just gets kind of annoying having to clear my throat and stuff. I'm like, how come it's like this like every night? And I'm like, I don't know. Also, sorry if you might hear some extra noise in the background. I have my window open to to pull in some cold air, but there's also annoying ass drivers being loud as fuck. Like, I can tell it's super distant, but the fact that I can still hear it, I will still never get people who think they're hot shit just because they have a loud ass car. Like, engine and muffler mod, I'm like, why would you mod it to make it more fucking noisy? I hate those people so much. Oh, this room. It's been too long. It hasn't changed in the slightest, though. And it's been some 6 months, hasn't it? That's a long time for things to stay so familiar. I didn't know when you might return. I wanted everything to be as you left it. But it has been some 6 months, it's true. So is your father alright, Susie? What happened? My father? Yes, Professor Mikotoba. I mean, it was half a year ago, but that's why he went back to Japan. Because of the telegram you received saying he'd fallen ill with a very high fever for some unknown reason. That's right. So I was surprised to learn you'd be coming back so soon. Surprised, but happy. I think I wrote about in my letter to you that it was all a trick. My father is in fine health, and I'm obviously very relieved about that. Well, we're all delighted to have you back. It was quite by accident that I've been able to return to Europe, actually. It's because of a very grand conference called the International Forensic Science Symposium. International Forensic... That's the same symposium Lord Strongarm mentioned. Anyway, I've arrived safe and sound, and all that matters is that I'm here now. After all, I haven't fulfilled my promise to you, Iris. Oh! You must tell us everything that happened while you were back in Japan. Yes, of course, I shall. And there's one other thing. Something you wrote in your letter that particularly grabbed my attention. About you-know-who. About Kazuma. I know. I'll tell you all that I can. Shovel. Thinking back, that spade's been here since we first moved in, hasn't it? I'm sure I've told you before, Mr. Naruhodo. It's not a spade, it's a shovel. No, shovels are for digging. That's for scooping up loose material. It's a spade. No, spades are for digging. That's for scooping up loose material. It's a shovel. The great spade shovel war rages on. Oh, I'm so looking forward to making you some tea again, Mr. Naruhodo. Which you think I wouldn't like, given that I'm not keen on bitter flavors, but it is Hisada-san's tea. And it's amazing what a little cake or something on the side can do. Food compliments, Naruhodo. Food compliments. I would dearly love to serve you some sort of Japanese sweet alongside your matcha green tea. But I suppose that's simply not possible given how long we've been staying here in London. Well, I do like the little chocolates you put with my tea. They go wonderfully. Oh, Mr. Naruhodo, you would, wouldn't you? That gives me a warm glow inside for some reason. You have water gently boiling on the stove, I see. He was wrong, Sam, if I can't hear the water bubbling away. And we have plenty of logs. And it's not like we have to worry about paying for gas. It's important to open the window for fresh air when the fire is burning, though. You can't keep it closed just because it's cold outside. It could be a matter of life or death. Avoiding the freezing winter air is a matter of life and death too, if you ask me. Oh well. Perhaps a nice cup of tea will warm you up later. You see? I've been keeping my desk beautifully covered in papers as always. You really must tidy it all up, Mr. Naruto. No more excuses. But Mrs. Sato, the way I see it, all these papers building up on my desk like this are a reminder of my wonderfully diverse life, or daily life. Bruh. I like to leave them as they are, so I never forget how lucky I am to have such varied experiences. How much bullshit can you muster up to not say that you're too damn lazy to clean up and organize? I mean, Ryunosuke is a lawyer and all, and we know the Ace Attorney series in a nutshell is just bullshitting as much as possible. Oh my god. In that case, you should definitely have a thorough tidy. Then you'll be able to see your papers building up all over again and feel that joy renewed. Still can't beat her in an argument, even though I'm the lawyer here. I see your Daruma still has only one eye filled in. Well, we agreed that it's something we do together, didn't we? We could do it right now if you like. I'd be happy with that. I'd rather like the anticipation, I think, Mr. Naruto. It must be about a year ago now. I wrote a really long story based on some of my father's old notes. It's about one of Hurley's greatest exploits. I called it The Hound of the Baskervilles. But then Mr. Sholmes forbade you from publishing it. I put the manuscript somewhere nobody could get their hands on it. So nobody knows anything about it apart from Hurley and I. But for some reason, you knew the title of it, didn't you, Susie? Oh, it sounds so exciting! The Hound of the Baskervilles! I should love to read it. And you wouldn't tell me. How'd you come to know it? Yes, but I made you a promise that I would explain one day, didn't I? I think it's time. Oh! I'm so sorry. I'm only sorry I've had to keep it from you for so long, Iris. It was completely by accident that I came to know the title of your manuscript, Iris. It was a short while before we left Japan. I was cleaning Father's study, and I saw something on his writing desk. A large box of papers. There was a label affixed to the box that was written in English. It read, The Hound of the Baskervilles. What? What? Not sure about. My Baskerville story? Of course, I've had no idea what it was at the time. But Father came in and... Susato, what are you doing? Oh, but Father... Did you look at those papers? No, I simply read the label, that's all. Well, put it out of your mind. Sorry? Forget that you ever saw it, and certainly don't tell anybody else about this. You understand? Huh. But what was Iris's manuscript doing in Japan? I have no idea. But when I first heard Iris mention the word Baskerville that day, the title just slipped out. I would never have guessed that it was an unpublished account of one of Mr. Sholmes' exploits. When I returned to Japan, I asked Father to explain, but he refused to answer any of my questions, and there was no sign of the big box in his office. That's really all I know about it. I've no doubt that Father has a very good reason for being so secretive about it, but still... I made up my mind to explain myself to both of you. Oh, thank you for being so honest, Susie. I'm so pleased to see all of our sea creatures doing so well in the aquarium. Yes, the prawns are still swimming and the anemones are still swimming. Obviously, I've been looking after them carefully. At first, I used to drool whenever I looked at those juicy prawns, but not anymore. They're like part of the family now. I don't suppose they'll ever know how close they were to meeting their maker. About this paper, Mrs. Sato. Yes, it's all about the great exhibition. I've been dreaming about it, you know. I was sorry that you were going to miss it when you were called back to Japan. So was I. I felt desperately unlucky. But here I am back in London while it's underway. It's a dream come true. Perhaps you're not as unlucky as you thought then. Once we've helped Professor Harebrain out of this terrible situation, we should all explore it together. And of course, we must invite the Professor's good friend Lord Van Zeeks as well. Your luck might not stretch that far. You're still taking good care of that armband, I see. I'm so pleased. Well, yes, it feels like I wouldn't be me without it now, to be honest. Oh dear, there seems to be a thread coming loose just there. Look! I'd only be too happy to mend it for you, Mr. Naruto. Oh, thank you. I must have scraped it against something again. I'm always doing that. Then take better care of it, please. It was all going so well until I ruined it. When I first arrived back in Japan, I really thought I'd never be allowed to return to Britain. But curiously, after that awful trial at the Supreme Court, Father's mood changed entirely. The awful trial? Oh yes, for the murder of Joseo Brett. Oh, you dressed as a man then, didn't you, Susie? Oh, well, yes, since women are forbidden in the courtroom, I had no choice. Wow, amazing. I wish I'd seen it. Don't you, Runo? Yes, I suppose so. I want to play at being a lawyer now. I could wear a false mustache, maybe. I don't think any mustache could hide the fact that you're just 10 years old, Iris. There's something else I've been wanting to ask you, Mrs. Sato. It's about the real reason why Professor Mikotoba summoned you back to Japan. You said in your letter it was something to do with that convict's loot we found in Mr. Natsume's lodgings. That's right, the very large dog collar we found with the bee emblem on it. It seems Mr. Natsume included a drawing of the collar in the report he submitted about his time in Britain. I understand that when Father saw the report, he turned as white as a sheet. How would that be then? Father came to Britain himself, of course, to study. It was some time ago now, but he stayed for 6 years. I can only imagine that something must have happened during that time. But if he refuses to tell me what it was, then I intend to find the answers for myself. And I've decided that I, for one, won't keep any more secrets. Oh, Susie! That's a very meaningful look Susato-san's giving Iris there. Lord Strongheart mentioned something about that symposium too. I think he said that investigative authorities from 40 different countries would attend. Yes, and from Japan, my father and Judge Jigoku have been invited. It's something of an honor, I believe. Well, Professor Mikotoba is a leading expert in forensic medicine in our country after all. But who's the other person you mentioned? A judge, did you say? Yes, His Excellency Judge Seishiro Jigoku. You've met him, Mr. Naruto. Last year, in the Supreme Court. You can't possibly have forgotten. That terrible trial of yours when you were accused of murder. Ah, yes, I try to think of that as a positive turning point in my life these days. Ah, the bro. Well, it was Judge Jikoku who presided over that trial. If I'm perfectly honest, I'd be happy to never see that man's face again in my life. What? But this judge is a bro! Have you seen the Seishido sling? That shit's cool! Oh, well, anyway, as father was invited to the symposium, he agreed to meeting me in Britain too. He wouldn't actually arrive until next month, but, well, I couldn't wait. So I pleaded with him, and in the end he agreed to me going on. Yes, about the symposium. It seems as though Lord Strongheart has put in an awful lot of work to make it happen. It's obviously very important. I believe it is, yes. As I understand it, Lord Strongheart organized the entire event himself. I think he's hoping that by achieving exceptional results, he'll get the job of Attorney General. The most senior position in the British justice system. He's hoping to use his power to create the world's finest policing institution. That's what father said anyway. Apparently it's Lord Strongheart's lifelong ambition. Does Professor Migatomo know Lord Strongheart personally then, I wonder? Actually, Lord Strongheart gave me a long speech about this very subject only yesterday. A very, very, very long speech. When I started Lost the Will to Live early on, I didn't really listen to much of it. Oh, trying for you. Giselle Brett. The woman whose unforgivable actions ended in me being wrongly accused of a crime I didn't commit. The murder of Dr. John H. Wilson. Yes, Giselle Brett. That's a name I won't forget for as long as I live. The extraordinary thing is, though, it seems it's a name we should all forget. Sorry? Since the incident, our government's intelligence services have been investigating Miss Brett. But it turns out that an Englishwoman by the name of Giselle Brett didn't actually exist. Didn't exist? But how can that be? An alias. It was a pseudonym. Her real name was Shin, and she wasn't a visiting student either. That was a front. A front? Who on earth was she then? Miss A. Shin. Excuse me? Excuse me? Are you fucking serious? Are you fucking serious? I can't believe they actually did that. I can't believe they actually did that. I was like, Shin. I'm like, no way. It was in the back of my mind. It was in the back of my mind. But I didn't. Oh my god. Oh my god, this is so stupid. Are you sure that's not supposed to be the cover name compared to Giselle Brett? I think they got these backwards here. Oh my god. Let me restart that. Miss A. Shin. Her name is literally all our intelligence services have been able to ascertain about her. Nobody knows why or even how she came to be in Japan. It's a complete mystery. But that makes no sense. It's no easy task to be accepted as a foreign student anywhere. What could the woman have been up to? I'm afraid I really don't know. The only thing we can be sure of is that she had some business in our country that we don't yet understand. now she's been killed. While all the questions surrounding her existence remain unanswered. I'm afraid so. A Shin. I feel like dying inside every time I read the name. Who on earth was she? And why do I feel as though I've heard that name somewhere? Oh shit. The names on the list during the epilogue of the last game. They also mention Gregson's name, if I remember correctly, as well. Oh shit. The list. Wait, they said there were 4 names, right? Cosma, A Shin, Gregson, and who was the 4th one? Was it Wilson? After my friend Ray's trial, the reporter who actually killed Miss Brett said something very strange. I know the truth. I know you had a hand in what went on. In that visiting student's fate. God, sort of the echo in my room sometimes. You know, I'm really wondering about whether or not I should get something to reduce the echo, like some of those like foams and all that stuff. Huh. That or, funnily enough, like a friend of mine suggested some ghetto solution to do that. Get a blanket and basically cover my area with a blanket, but the problem with that idea, I need some way to hold it up over like my setup, like from the back of my chair to behind my monitor where the microphone is as well. So then I can actually speak into, or so I can still actually speak into the mic and all that. Like, I mean, you know, I'm not doing this like super seriously or whatever, but since my friend brought that up, I'm like, you know, that'd be nice to have something to reduce the echo, but a little bit complicated with thinking about how to set that up. It's like, I mean, I don't think he knows, you know, he knows like a good amount about the subject because like he's a bit of an audiophile and like he has like a whole bunch of like neat things that he bought with like from sound cards to high-end microphones and headphones and all that stuff. I'm like, oh my god, I swear, like my friend gave me like the longest rundown, not that I minded, about like all this, like, what was it? A rundown of all of his hobbies, from gunpla, headphones, keyboards, monitors, PC, cars, like, I think I mentioned the audio thing already, freaking chairs in general, because like, what was it? Trying to buy a good enough chair, or was it, like, just like how buying a good mattress is basically one of the biggest investments ever, trying to buy the best chair you can use is like the second priority, or even top priority, because aside from what you're sleeping on, where else do you spend most of your time? Although, you know, I'm making assumptions here depending on, you know, how people go about their day. But you know, let's say like you're off work, or maybe you're studying and you're doing, you know, like research or homework or just other projects, you're usually sitting at your chair. So just like how you spend like a third of your life essentially on the bed because you have to sleep, you have to spend another significant chunk sitting on a chair. So then he went through all these different websites for all these like mid-range to high-end chairs, like, and I saw them go upwards of like $1,600, and I'm like, holy fuck, dude. He doesn't have that one himself, but he's like, man, if he could blow the money on it, he would, because he treats it, and I understand his viewpoint on it, and I completely agree with it. Now he kind of like convinced me. Like, if you're gonna be sitting on your chair for years on end, that shit needs to last and be of the highest quality possible within budget. Little like asterisk there. It's like, oh, within budget. But yeah. But anyways, getting back to the serious conversation at hand here. Nobody here in Japan knows anything about it. They don't know the guy never made it to England, that he died on that steamship, and that he'll never... Obviously, I couldn't ask him to elaborate at the time. But later, I visited the man in his prison cell and asked him what he was going to say about Kazuma-sama. What did you learn? After he died on the voyage to Great Britain, his body should have been unladen at the port of Hong Kong and passed into the care of the consulate staff there. Should have been? Well, it turns out that his body never arrived. It just disappeared. What? What? Cosmo's body vanished? Our government tried to cover the fact up, it seems. They erected a grave on the cliffs by our hometown. Except, Kazuma-sama isn't there. Did Professor Mikotoba know about this? Yes, it would seem that he did. But he didn't tell me. They're still investigating what happened to Kazuma-sama's body as we speak. I just don't believe it. And what is this acute feeling of apprehension that I have all of a sudden? Thinking back now, some of the things that happened on the SS burial were definitely strange. I mean, after he died, we never saw his body again, did we? Oh yeah, because they put the tape around it and removed it. Could it be that he's actually still... Stop it, Mr. Naruhodo. It's too much to bear. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Just thinking about the possibility pains me so very much. Cast your mind back for a moment, Mr. Naruhodo. When Kazuma-sama was discovered, Mr. Sholmes was there, wasn't he? And he definitely examined the body. I remember it clearly. Oh, you're right. So if Cosmo hadn't actually been dead at all, it would mean that Mr. Sholmes had lied to us. But there's no reason why he would possibly have done such a thing. I suppose that's true, yes. And now the seeds of doubt have been planted. The idea that he might still be alive somewhere. It wants to fill me with hope, but I can't let it, because if it turned out not to be true, then I'd be back at the bottom of that awful pit of despair again. I'm terrified of what that might do to me. Oh, Mrs. Sato. I know she's given the idea on the thought it deserves. It's his Sato-san we're talking about after all. So I probably shouldn't push it now. Oh, Mr. Naruhodo, I'm ready to start investigating if you are. I've committed every detail about the case to memory. And Iris has told me about the disturbing happenings at the Waxwork Museum as well. So you're fully abreast of the situation already, Mrs. Sato. I'd expect nothing less, to be honest. I would think our first port of call will be, should be to investigate this Mr. Drebber, the engineer responsible for building the elaborate machine that was used to effect this extraordinary trick. Yeah, or yes, a conjurer of sorts, by the sound of it, well known in the fields of science and magic. Then we need to go and arrest him. Well, yes, he must know the truth behind this case, so I agree we really do need to find the man. Huh, it sounds like a case of tracking someone down. Which is a job for the police. Or a great detective. Are we supposed to guess who she might be thinking of? Well, we don't have much time, so we need to get started straight away, I think. Good idea. Well, best of luck then. Oh, you're not coming today? I'm going to Brixton Road shortly for the herb market. But let me know later how you got on, won't you? That was a little abrupt. The pull of the herb market must be strong. Oh. Oh, who's that standing beside Lord Strongheart? I wonder. I've never seen her before. White hair. Tall. Slender. Nah. Ah, the young champion of the court. You had some success this morning, I understand. And you've thrown the entire government into disarray as a result. Oh. You mean because of Professor Harebrain's experiment? Sham science being demonstrated at London's great exhibition. The country's been made to look foolish, and now politicians are scrabbling to respond. Lord Van Zeeks is in Whitehall as we speak, giving an emergency briefing. Oh dear, I didn't mean to cause any trouble. None of this is your responsibility. The government is entirely to blame for having been taken in. A special dispensation that prevents the investigation at the scene will be annulled later today. Once that happens, a forensic investigation team will move in and deal with that scrap metal in no time. It's scrap metal now, isn't it? Until later then, Lord Strongheart. Yes, thank you. No, okay, now I wouldn't say long hair if it's been tidied up like that. Never mind. And then again, maybe it wasn't done up like that at the time. If this wasn't, that has to be some reference later. I'm not sure. Who was that? That was Dr. Courtney's Scythe, I don't know, Sith. Scotland Yard's esteemed chief coroner. She's leading the forensic investigation team's handling of this case. She was just delivering her report about the victim, in fact. Oh, I see. About Mr. Asman. Following the outcome of the trial earlier, I asked the coroner's office to reevaluate its findings. I don't have time to tell you what she concluded. If you want to know, you'll have to ask her directly. You can find her in the forensics laboratory. Ah, right. Now, what were you here to see me about? I can give you 7 minutes and 39 seconds of my time. So he's not running quite so particularly late anymore. You know nothing about this crossbow? Advancing questions so dull. What exactly is the forensic investigation team that you mentioned before? The British Empire's police force must become the most exemplary in the world. For that to happen, it's imperative that we embrace forensic science and everything it has to offer. I first created the forensic investigation team a year ago now, unofficially of course, to pave the way. Goodness, a year ago? At next month's symposium, I intend to present the results of their work to the world. Once I do that, the House of Lords will be powerless to oppose the creation of a full-scale forensics division. Once that happens, the position of Attorney General will be mine, and criminals will suffer greatly. What do you mean? For too long, those scoundrels have made a mockery of our legal system with false evidence and bribes. But London's scum is about to be rounded up and burnt in the fires of hell. I intend to see to it personally. By creating the finest police force the world has ever known, to protect our honor and our future. Look at those eyes. He means every word. Dr. Sith is an extremely reliable coroner. When I officially establish the forensic division at Scotland Yard, she will run it as my right-hand woman. Now then, speaking of the symposium, Miss Mikotoba. Oh, yes, my lord. Your father should be on the high seas as we speak, making his way here to represent the Empire of Japan. Yes, that's right. I understand he will arrive at the beginning of next month. And are you acquainted, Lord Strongheart? With Professor Mikotoba, I mean. It was many years ago now, but yes, I remember Dr. Mikotoba very well. If my memory serves, it was some 15 years ago that your father came to Britain as a visiting student. It was the year I was born, so yes, 16 years ago now, in fact. Excuse me. Mikotoba was a young practitioner of forensic science, and Jigoku accompanied him as a young promising judge. The punctiliousness and politeness of the Japanese at the time impressed us greatly. At the time? Not that I wish to imply impoliteness or carelessness on your part in any way. I didn't think that you were. Dr. Mikotoba studied forensics at one of London's large hospitals. St. Sinners, if I'm not mistaken. Dr. Sith was also there. Then, as it happens. Sith Scythe? I really don't know if it's Sith or Scythe, or if like... I don't know, dude. I'll just stick to one. Then, Dr. Scythe knows my father, does she? She was a young medical assistant at the time, so I doubt their paths crossed regularly. I have no doubt they knew each other superficially. After all, Dr. Mikotoba was studying his subject for some 6 years in total. 6 years? That's a long time to be studying abroad, isn't it? I lived with my grandmother in those years, so he left his newly born daughter behind and went overseas for 6 whole years. It was a rather turbulent time at home. Oh. Perhaps father wanted a reason to get away. What do you mean? Why? Well, clearly something was going on at the time. Excuse me? I wanted to ask you about Lord Van Zeeks, actually. I heard that his older brother was killed some years ago by a mass murderer known as the Professor, who targeted nobles and royalty. Is that right? You Japanese are a thorough lot. You've done your research well. Yes. And you could say it was that very incident that gave rise to the Reaper. What? Why? When his brother, Clint Van Zeeks, was murdered, it was just after young Barrack had graduated from the University of London and became a prosecutor, when obvious criminals who managed to evade conviction in court started disappearing. Rumors quickly spread throughout the capital. Londoners started to say that wherever Barrack Van Zeeks went, the ghost of his dead brother wasn't far behind. Oh my word! So, Lord Van Zeeks isn't the Reaper, it's the ghost of his brother? Ever since that time, he became a very aloof figure in Lenda's legal circles. Oh yes, Lord Strongheart. Go ahead. It's about Professor Harebrain's experimental machine. We'd like your permission to examine the remains, if possible. Nah. Are you well versed in science now? Not in the slightest. In fact, you could say I was barely aware of the subject at all until recently. Well, the special dispensation legally preventing investigation of the machine is currently being annulled. Within a few hours, Dr. Sith's team of forensic experts will begin their own investigation. But I suppose until then, there's no harm in you looking at the wreckage, as long as you touch nothing. Thank you. Being able to look at it is better than nothing. Then I'll be able to see it too. Your time is up. You will have to excuse me now, I'm afraid. My next engagement calls. We are extremely sorry to have troubled you when you are so busy, my lord. I have important matters to attend to in preparation for the symposium, you understand. Holy shit! Goddamn. What's he doing? He's... Oh my! The entire wall, the whole wall of the cell is covered in mathematical equations. And he's still writing more now. Professor, sorry to interrupt. Oh, Mr. Naruhodo. And who is this young lady? My name is Susato Mikotoba. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant. It's a pleasure to meet you, Professor. Oh, if only I met a refined young woman like you sooner! None of this would have happened. No, that's not logical. It makes no sense at all. Oh dear, I'm sorry if my presence here upsets you. I owe you an apology too, Professor. I didn't manage to deliver what I promised you I would in court this morning. Oh, no. The whole thing, the whole miserable affair. It all happened because I've been such a complete and utter clot. Professor Harebrain? There's an Asusana. What have you been working on in your cell? What the fuck does all this even mean? Oh, you mean that? Oh dear, how embarrassing. I was suddenly struck by an idea, you see, and I simply had to write it down. The wall was all I had on hand. Oh, is it some new hypothesis? Something to surpass super high voltage instantaneous kinesis, maybe? Ah, no, actually, this is my autobiography. Ah. How is math your autobiography? Your autobiography. How I Was Diddled and Fiddled by Albert Harebrain. I found I can represent my odd fortunes with only odd numbers in an ambitious set of simultaneous equations. Really, I'm going to have to pay back all the loans I took for the kinesis machine, you see. So it's gonna be a new series publication from next month, part 1, and on birth, and on upbringing. You can't beat the man's optimism, that's for sure. I see. Well, for now, would you mind if we talked a little more about the case? Oh, yes, of course! I've been working through the numbers. I was fiddled by the pair of them. Hey, Asmund, and that aloof engineer Drebber. We're not going to have to sit through an explanation of all these equations, are we? Everything I believed in has been turned on its head. My research, Mr. Asmund, the kinesis machine, my hypothesis even. I'm sorry it's come to this. There's really no other way. No, it's not your fault. I wanted to protect my work, but in the end, there was nothing worth protecting. It was never my intention to deceive anyone. I didn't want to trick the public. No, of course you didn't. But in court this morning, I realized something. Oh. If you'd done something wrong without knowing it, you've still done something wrong. Logically, it makes no difference if you're aware of it or not. Ignorance is a poor excuse. The blame still lies with me. Oh, Professor. He believed in me this morning, you know. Beric did. He believed in my hypothesis. Well, I think that was just a necessary factor in the prosecution establishing its case. No, Beric wouldn't do something like that. I'm sure he genuinely believed in it. Did he? I think I understand now. Why it was that he decided to take on the prosecution at my trial, I mean. After the terrible accident happened, nobody would believe in my hypothesis anymore. Not the police, not the prosecution service, not any lawyers even. I feel like I've dealt some kind of finishing blow there. So if any other prosecutor had taken the case, if it was anyone other than Beric, I'm sure the prosecution would have declared my hypothesis a complete and utter nonsense. And in that case, you would have been declared a fraud yourself, Professor. Exactly, which would have been a fate worse than death for me. Beric insisted that I was a proper man of science from start to finish. You think that's why he... I know him very well indeed. He's an extremely kind-hearted soul. But that extremely kind-hearted soul spent all morning trying to paint you as a murderer, didn't he? Well, admittedly, that part of the analysis appears to have some flaws in it. And what about the whole Reaper side of things? How does that fit in with the kind-hearted soul idea? Do you think he set out to trick me from the very start? I'm sorry to say, that does seem likely, yes. When I first met him, he introduced himself as a wealthy financier. He looked over the paper I'd written, and said my work would benefit all humanity and must be pursued. He was so enthused. He was so empathetic. But in reality, he was the mastermind of some vast criminal network, it seems. I still can't believe it. As the machine was essentially a set decoration for some stage magic. It probably didn't require a large amount of investment, actually. But the scale of it! It wasn't just some small trick. It was a very elaborate feat of deception. All young scientists are full of hope about their burgeoning ideas, full of zeal. But none of us have any money! We want to do research, but we can't afford it. Man, is that an IRL? Is that a 2 IRL for me moment or not? Oh god. Many of us take on a barely legal part-time work to try to earn just a few measly pennies to carry on. To go through all of that, only to be taken for a complete fool. It's too rotten to believe. It is, I agree. And that's why we had to find those responsible and bring them to justice. Mr. Asmund is no more, of course, which leaves only the engineer. Mr. Enoch Drebber. Sad reality is people only find research that benefits them. Probably. Is he an engineer or a magician or swindler? It was about a year ago when Mr. Asman first brought Drebber to meet me at my laboratory. Is ready to get funding for purely scientific reasons? I would imagine knowing how I wouldn't say I understand how the world works, but assuming how the world works. Since then, I've met him many times to discuss details about the kinesis machine. But at no point did you have any inkling that he was just an illusionist. Oh, he definitely wasn't just an illusionist. What do you mean? He was a wealth of deep scientific knowledge. There's no question that the man's a genuine scientist. It's instantly apparent in conversation. I see. For the wretched man to deceive you, Professor, it's unforgivable. We must do everything we can to find him and bring him to justice. And are there no more clues you can give us about give us as to his whereabouts? I'm sorry. We've only ever discussed the kinesis machine, nothing else. Ah. Although, just once, I did visit his workshop. What workshop? Drebber's enormous fabrication laboratory, where he constructed my great machine. Why didn't you mention this before? Enoch Drebber's workshop. There's every chance we might find the man there. So you've been to Drebber's place of work then? Yes, just once, you understand. It was an enormous place. Plenty of room to construct the kinesis machine, you see. Where can we find it? We have to go there at once. There's a good chance that we'll find Drebber there. Well, yes, definitely. I'm sure you're not going to want to hear this. But I have absolutely no idea where the workshop is at all. I'm so sorry. I was more than half expecting that. You see, I was blindfolded in a carriage the entire way there. Huh? He blindfolded you. He wasn't taking any chances then. But the place was incredible. The pinnacle of modern engineering. Even the oil he used was the very best. A special French machine oil that's impossible to obtain in Britain. Ah, the indescribable scent of that imported oil. Perfumers across the world should forget their secret formulae and use that instead. And probably suffer from just passing out, breathing in gas fumes. Or oil fumes like that. Oh, I need to stand up. Ugh. Oh, whoops. Hold on. Dude, sounds I just really want to say fucking and buy a new chair, dude. I hate this chair. And how noisy it is. What do you think, Mrs. Sato? How do you pronounce that? Ow de machine for your next birthday? I never use any kind of perfume, Mr. Naruto, and I'm not sure I'd like to start with that. And I suppose you know even part of the workshop's address, Professor. You don't have a business card from Mr. Drebber, for example. The man was clearly very... Ah! Yes, I do. He gave me his business card once. It's right here. Look! Let me see that. Throw etiquette to the wind, why don't you? Enoch Drebber, engineer. I'm afraid that's all it says, that there's no address. No, oh well. I can't say I'm surprised. Still, this could be useful. This dark smudge here. I think perhaps it's machine oil. Ah, yes, possibly. Professor Harebrained mentioned something about the oil Mr. Draper uses, didn't he? He said it was specially imported from... it was specially imported very high quality oil that's impossible to obtain in Britain. Yes, that's right. But more importantly, it's more fragrant than the finest perfume. Excuse me for a moment. Oh, it doesn't appear to have any scent at all. Don't worry, I expect that just because there's such a tiny amount on here. They're not even gonna talk about the business card. Professor, do you recognize this? Oh, it's Andrew, my faithful friend. How have you been? Oh, you alright? Nobody's mistreated you, have they? Don't worry, he's being very well looked after. I always rub him with some with machine oil until he's gleaming. Right. And then when I come to tighten a screw with him, he slips my hand and I can't do it. It's that age-old problem faced by driver files the world over, isn't it? I really wouldn't know, I'm afraid. Oh, how could this have happened? Oh, wait. I don't know. We already saw this. Hey, Mom. How's the gates going? Yeah, it's going alright. We're gonna look at a new area soon. Just finished wrapping up the convo with Professor Harebrained. Right now we have to go to the forensics lab, but I want to visit the other areas first real quick, if they'll let us. Oh, sleepiness is getting to me again. Oh boy. Ah. I had no idea there were so many people in the world. I know what you mean. It's really packed here today. I feel as though it's taken us 2 hours just to make our way through the crowd to this point. Has it? I shut my brain down so I didn't really notice, to be honest. Gosh, I do wish I had your absence of mind sometimes, Mr. Naruhodo. Ah, there you are. I had a feeling you lot would show your mugs before long. Ah, I thought that was... Oh, Inspector Gregson. I see you're hard at work as usual. Well, greetings to you. I do hope you've been keeping up well since we last met. Wasn't long the ceremony. We just saw each other in court this morning. No, not you, Sunshine. The gentlewoman so loyally at your side. Oh. Why, thank you, Inspector. How good of you to notice. He might be a bit rough around the edges, but he's still a proper English gentleman at heart, I suppose. Well, as you probably guessed, we were hoping to investigate the scene some more. All right. Well, that's the young trainee's domain. Oi! Get over here, Gina. Doggy. She seems to be busy playing with a puppy. Probably giving it a traditional, East End training. Gina? She's a police officer now. Amazing, isn't it? She's a good kid, actually. Oh, it's in the right place, anyway. She's got the detection bug, if you ask me. Yep, I think she'll follow my footsteps nicely. What do you mean? Oh, I'm being transferred. It's time for me to say toodaloo to London. Oh no, really? That's a bit sudden, isn't it? I had no idea. Where are you going to be posted then? Well, come to see how you're getting along. Ha! Oh, not likely. Well, you're welcome to try. If you don't mind a trip to France, that is. To France? I'll be working in the Paris police prefecture. Should be right up my alley. But France? It's an entirely different country. I don't understand. How would you be sent there? That's the way the adult world works, sunshine. Now don't go poking your nose in where it's not wanted. I'm intending to take the kid with me when I go. What? You're taking Gina to Paris? Well, I can't leave her here in London. Who knows what would become of her? Well, I suppose he's worried she'd slip back into her, or into slipping her hands into people's pockets and purses. I don't think he's worried about her pickpocketing, Mr. Naruhodo. I think he's worried about, the Reaper. Oh, of course. So that's playing on Inspector Gregson's mind too, isn't it? Oh, anyway, I haven't mentioned any of this to Gina. So don't go blabbing, you hear me? No, of course not. I gotta keep that diving diva safe and sound. Until all this is over, at least. Oi! Did you just call me a bloomin' diving diva again? So you heard that, did you? Right, well, any questions about the scene, you can put them to my capable detective diva here. Alright, you are the boss. Inspector Lestrade's in charge here now. I suppose I better keep my word and not mention anything about Paris. So, Gina, you've got a new dog, have you? Ah, isn't he great? Toby's his name. Really? Really? Oh my god. Oh, how delightful. He's absolutely adorable. Yes, the dog does seem lovely. But it's the not so lovely Inspector Gregson that's playing on my mind, to be honest. Gina. We were actually hoping that we could investigate the scene again. Yeah, alright. If it's around here, you can do what you like. Oh, that's... alright, is it? Or is it? I'm gonna be playing with me new friend here. Ah, yes, Toby. The machine that exploded must be at the top of the stairs, I assume. I haven't actually seen it yet, so if you don't mind... Sorry, you can't go up there, Susie. Oh. It's like a tow auto is today. You and I ain't alive near that wreck. So what's it called again? The reason we ain't supposed to touch it? The Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act. Is that what you're thinking of? That's the one. That's why only them lots are allowed to investigate it. What are they called again? The forensic... something. Forensic investigation team. Is that what you're thinking of? That's the one, yeah. But isn't it the case that the special dispensation has been lifted? Oh, I think so. I don't really get it, to be truthful with you. You're still supposed to get permission from some bigwig from some bigwig or other as far as I know. What was his name again? Lord Strange something. I'm not sure that's quite right, Gina. I think you mean Lord Strongheart, perhaps. That's the one, yeah. Apparently, he's always watching the time or something. Actually, we've just recently been to see Lord Strongheart. Eh? You what? You've met him? Last time the boss was called to go and see him. He's waited for 3 hours at the Co's office and came back sniveling. Tragic. Well, Lord Strongheart has given us permission to examine the scene as long as we touch nothing. Oh yeah? Honestly. Oh, alright then, go ahead. But if it turns out you're lying, It'll be the boss who gets it, and he'll never eat another chip again in his life. So, you're still saying this is all above board, are you? I'm sure everything will be fine. That really would be tragic. Alright then, them's the stairs. Off you go. Oh, thank you, Gina. Man, my fatigue is catching up with me real fast tonight. Ugh. I have a feeling I might not be able to get the Risk of Rain 2 later tonight. Again, it's always when I start. I mean, it's near the end of the day, and I decide at the end of the day to start streaming. But it's like I felt fine like before I started the stream, and now I'm just like, ugh. But I really do want to finish reading this case. But let's see how long this investigative part is and how long the trial portion is. Might be a while. And in the weather today, no rain. Yeah, I know, I'm always tired. It was great, weren't it? I had a right laugh. It was a new one on me, that. You know, being in court and not spending the whole time worrying about I'm about to be found out. You did keep an awful lot of secrets in all your previous court appearances, didn't you? Yeah, and autos made things hard for me every single time and all. Just doing my job, Gina. I wonder if someone else get it in the neck is a lot of fun, actually. It was amazing when you showed that dodgy professor's dodgy experiment was a total fix. The dodgy professor, as you put it, Gina, is Mr. Naruhodo's client. Yes, I'm starting to wish he wasn't, though. What was the boss I feel sorry for? Sent off to do the impossible. What do you mean? He's supposed to arrest that other cove, ain't he? And in time for the trial, and in time for tomorrow and all. You know, the dodgy engineer, what's his name again? Mr. Drebber, you mean? Enoch Drebber. Yeah, that's the one. So the police are looking for this mysterious man with the black monocle. I guess they would be. They spent too much on the boss, if you ask me. Says giving it... He says it's giving him too much gut ache. Oh dear, but I do wonder if that isn't actually from all the fried food. So Scotland Yard are trying to track down Mr. Enoch Drebber. I wonder if they had any luck. He's really funny looking, got two eyes what don't match. Still the glimpse of a picture of him earlier. I mean, I didn't actually pinch it or nothing. The old devil's got it. Sorry? Who? You know, that Scowling Reaper what's always glugging down glasses of that blood red plock. Breaks in my wants to eat more veggies that are not tubers. Tubers? Also Plonk? Ah, Lord Van Zeeks. They always had it in it for me, that cove. Don't know what he's always scowling about, mind. Words. Probably would have been a good boss as it goes. She'd rather be the Reaper's apprentice than a detective's trainee. The way I see it, with the choice between a chip-guzzling detective and a chalice-glugging demigod, you're equally bad off with both. I suppose you're right. And I hadn't thought of it like that. Glad we put that one to bed. But anyway, the point is, everyone at the yard's dead set on finding the fishy engineer. But there don't seem to be no clues to go on. They're stuck. There's nothing that can lead us to Drebber at all. Where'd you find that little mutt then, Gina? Oi! Don't be so flaming rude, Otto! Slight overreaction, don't you think? He ain't no mutt, right? Toby's How do they put it? Oh yeah, a bona fide detective. Sorry. I've given him a proper title and everything. It's Chief Inspector Toby to you. More senior than Inspector Gregson, is he? Oh, so he's a police dog, is he? The police recruit dogs now? I've heard that they're already being used officially in Germany as part of their city policing. They're used for chasing criminals and such like. They have a wonderful sense of smell after all. I have a fairly good sense of smell myself as it happens. I can tell undergarments that have been freshly laundered from undergarments that Reno skirt. There are certain sentences that you should not utter in public, much less in front of another woman. Ooh boy. That's nothing compared to this little fella, Otto. Oh really? Really? According to what the boss said, once Toby here's got a good whiff of your drawers, he would chase that scent to the other side of the world. What? To the other side of the world? You mean that he can swim? Mr. Naruto, I think you may have missed the point by a rather wide margin. I just can't believe this little dog has such an incredible skill. It just has a decent sense of smell. I'm telling you, Otto, there's gotta be more, more and more dogs doing their bit for the police in the future. Yes, I agree. Right? One of these days they'll be barking orders at us lot, not the other way around. Okay, I think that's going a little bit too far. Oh dear. Sorry, Gina. I don't think I agree with your vision quite that much. Well, anyway, whatever you think about that, Toby here's Britain's first police dog. I found him down the East End the other day. Someone had just chucked him out on the street. There you go. I knew she lifted him from somewhere. Oh, Gina, you're such a kind-hearted soul, aren't you? To children and to animals. Hey, can a dog sniff this real quick? About this, Gina. Yeah? Still learning me letters at the moment. I only know A to E, so if it ain't too much, bleeding trouble. Actually, Gina, it's the back of the card that's important. Eh? How come? Just dirty old smudge on the back, that's all. It turns out that this is very high quality French machine oil. Has a very particular scent, apparently. We're not at the genetically engineered super dogs yet. You don't say. Let's have a whiff then. Nothing. You sure? I don't smell nothing. No, we didn't mean that you should smell it. Oh, right. You mean Toby. His sense of smell is so good he can track people over the oceans, can't he? Professor Harebrained informs us that this oil is unique to Mr. Drebber's workshop. I think he's picked up a scent. So you mean, if he follows the scent of this oil, Toby can lead us to that dodgy cove's workshop. That's right. That's exactly what we were hoping. Alright then, we'll give it a go. I'll just borrow that. What? Wait, where did you... Once a pickpocket. If I can lead everyone to that driver's workshop, it'll be the boss's boss before next week. Oh yes, Gina. I'm sure you'll be promoted. Poor Gregson. Right then, Otto. Leave it to me. Sorry? We're gonna get going after that dodgy engineer cove, right this minute. Oh, but hang on. Someone's supposed to be on guard duty here, all the time. I'm afraid we can't help. We need to get on with our investigation as well, Gina. Oh, right. Oh, well, never mind. It ain't gonna be me what gets in the neck. It'll be the boss. Poor Gregson. Again. Ready, Toby? Get that oil sent, have ya? Come on then, boy. See you later. I do hope the scent of that oil leads into that swindler's workshop. Yes, I hope so too. Ideally before the dog swims across the channel to France. Here's a scorching on the ground that you mentioned. Yes, and that's what's left of the green balloon's envelope. All clear evidence of the balloon that exploded on the day of the incident. Poor Professor Hairbrain. I do feel sorry for him that his dreams have been shattered like this. Someone's well and truly burst his bubble, as it were. Ah ha 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 ha. Oh, I'm a bad person. Oh, whoops. Ah, the Crystal Tower. I can't believe I'm seeing it at such close proximity with my own eyes. You've really been looking forward to the great exhibition, haven't you, Mrs. Sato? Oh yes. When I found out that I had to return to Japan, I'm afraid I cursed my luck. But here you are, back in London, gazing up at the magnificent tower. I know. Perhaps I was wrong to curse my luck so harshly. What a shame that the symbolic landmark of the great exhibition has been damaged like that. Yes, unfortunately the birdcage crashed in the most prominent position possible. It's the gods giving us a warning, if you ask me. Man must travel under his own steam, and not cut corners with instantaneous kinesis. But imagine what might have happened if that birdcage had landed in a slightly different location. The death toll could have been far worse. So I think perhaps it was a blessing in disguise. Well, the gods are benevolent, obviously. I did say it was just a warning. Man must travel under his own steam, or next time bird cages will rain down on all of you. Your faith is much stronger than I realized. Well, I think I passed the entrance exam for Yuma University. It was by studying alone. Bruh. Oh, look, a flying balloon. I never seen one in the flesh before. I can't understand how they can fly, and so high up as well. But think of the view, Mr. Naruhodo. You must be able to see for miles and miles. I do think of it, and it terrifies me. I mean, it would be a certain death if you fell out. Oh, I'm sure they're perfectly safe. After all, they've been invented by some of the brightest minds in the world. Let's not forget that we know at least one has exploded. I'm sure there are other ways to fly. These stairs lead up to the experimentation stage. Let's go and see what we can find out. Girl just wants to fly. Just a simple wish. Oh yeah, wait, no, there's a birdcage right there. Okay, you know what? Hold on. Let me get up real quick. Let me splash some water on my face. Do a quick little walk around. I'll be back in like a moment. This sleepiness is getting ridiculous. So, one moment. I need to wake myself up. Be right back. Ugh. Okay. Ugh. I really did need that. You know what? You know, I get some candy as well. Forgive the noises. But something to gnaw on, basically, to kind of occupy my mind as I'm reading along. Although it might be a little bit hard to speak with a piece of hard candy in my mouth, but you know what, I'll manage. I do want to finish this box and toss this away, honestly, so that's also another reason. Anyways, let me take that mouse off. That was used to deceive people into thinking instantaneous kinesis had taken place. Although, wait. Wait, I saw my tea. Well, hopefully me eating this candy doesn't mess up the flavor of the tea that much as I drink it. Ah, well. Yes, that's right. Or rather, it was the machine. It's a little worse for wear at the moment. What extraordinary links Professor Harebrayne went to in order to obtain the research grant. No! The professor was strict as well. He didn't know anything about it. Yes, of course. It's amazing though, isn't it? The scale of the whole affair is so very British. You're right about that. You never see such a grand deception in Japan, that's for sure. Oh, look, is that... Oh. Lord Van Zeeks. So, I think we're more or less done here, aren't we? Shall we, Mrs. Otto? Already? He is the Reaper, remember? We do all to keep our distance, I think. But we have permission to be here, from the top. We're perfectly well allowed to investigate this machine as long as we don't touch anything. From the top? Do you mean Lord Strongheart? Exactly. So we can stay here and stare at this wreckage for as long as we like. She could have been at the center of the explosion here and it wouldn't have bent her steel will. He just doesn't want to deal with Lord Van Zeeks more than he has to. Oh, there's nothing wrong. You know, you're just another kind soul. What a terrible explosion it must have been. Even the steel girders have buckled and twisted from the blast. And what they call the birdcage was in the middle of it all, just here. But look, Mr. Naruhodo, that metal grill on the floor. It looks as though it's designed to open. Yeah. It does, doesn't it? If the floor had opened at the precise moment the explosion occurred, the birdcage could have dropped through and disappeared from sight. I don't think there's any doubt that this was a very elaborate hoax, is there? So the levers also open up the floor below. This wasn't here yesterday. Really, but if I'm not mistaken, it's the cage in which the victim was standing before he was apparently beamed through the air. That's right, the birdcage. According to what Professor Harebrayne said in court, it's made of wood. Or more precisely, Japanese cypress, I think. And despite having been an explosion and then falling from a great height, it's relatively unharmed. What wonderfully durable construction, wouldn't you say, Mr. Naruhodo? I'd understood that the forensic investigation team had taken it away yesterday to examine it. I suppose they must have brought it back here when they finished their work. But sadly not with the body inside it. No, that's right. I know we were given strict instructions not to touch anything, but still, this is too important a piece of evidence to overlook. We might need it for the trial. Oh, isn't this exhilarating? All this different architecture from all corners of the world. It does make you feel a little bit, or a little like an explorer, doesn't it? I know it's all subjective, but the onion-shaped roofs have rather caught my attention, personally. It is very subjective, isn't it? Japanese buildings with their wood and paper construction have very excellent ventilation. And I've realized that British buildings are being made from brick and stone are very strong and long-lasting. The more you know about how things are done in other countries, the more you understand your own, I feel. Oh yes, I do agree with you there. I can't help wondering what an onion does for the roof of a building. I mean, I suppose it's playing on my mind because I don't like the taste of onion. What? How do you not like onions? You really oughtn't let your taste in vegetables dictate your taste in roofs, Mr. Naruhodo. Look at that horn-shaped transmitting device. Isn't it amazing? That's exactly what I thought when I first saw it. It makes you think, doesn't it? If only it had been just a normal horn, none of this would have happened. Onions are not for everyone. They're missing out. That's almost exactly what I thought as well. I bet I can predict what you're going to say say next in that case. I bet you're about to say, nothing ever goes to plan, aren't you? Oh no, I would never say something like that. Which is unfortunate given how many things onions are in, and knowing having to pick them out and everything. Yeah, there's a lot of dishes that are cooked with onions, I mean, with good reason, like, just like the flavor just mingling with whatever you cook them in, like, with like, I don't know, like various like meat dishes or other, like, what was it? I mean, just like, in basically anything and everything, honestly. However much I look at them, I just can't come to terms with those tamari handballs floating in the sky. You've been glaring at them constantly since we came up here. Sorry, the feelings of wanting to ride in one and wanting to never set foot in one are fighting it out inside me. Tomato stew? What? Tomatoes aren't bad at all. Like, okay, maybe raw. Or, well... when I say raw, I mean like simply by itself. If it's like in a burger, that's perfectly fine. And more importantly, it also depends on how and what you cook it with, or if you make a soup out of it. But if you don't look where you're walking, you might fall from the stage. I don't think I noticed. That's how fiercely the battle inside me is raging. I think you should make peace with riding anyway, Mr. Naruhodo. It would really be, be much safer that way. You meant with how many things tomatoes are in as well? Oh yeah, like, onions and tomatoes are very versatile ingredients to work with in general. Ketchup and salsa are fine, but you dislike tomatoes as is? That's understandable. Which is weird. Not really, like with how like ketchup is processed and like the things that are also combined with tomatoes when making salsa, like really change up like how the taste is. Also the texture compared to raw tomatoes versus just like in sauce form or soup form maybe. Yeah, it's like a wide range of things. Marinara sauce too? Oh yeah, you know, like spaghetti or even just like, yeah, you know, just like tomato sauce with like pizza or what else? What else is... What other dishes do you make or also use tomatoes as well? Or we just tomatoes as is? I'd say it goes, I'd say it's perfectly fine, like, with like a raw slice with, even tomato soup's pretty fine to you. Yeah, I guess it's just like a personal thing. But I really wouldn't mind it in like a slice of it in a burger, especially if it's like a very heavy burger, and you honestly do need the veggies to kind of like offset like all the fattiness and juice from the patty, depending on the kind you're eating. I'd say like it's a nice, at the very least, like with using tomatoes like that, it's a nice way to kind of balance things out so you don't get bogged down by all like the fattiness and juiciness. Because then, like, once it becomes overbearing, like, it's hard to keep biting into it. But then with the tomato giving that little bit of freshness to it, along with other veggies that might be in it, like raw onions or cooked even, depending on like kind of burger you're getting. Some lettuce too goes a long way as well. Or I believe I had a burger that had cabbage instead of lettuce before, if I remember correctly. You've been forcing yourself to eat onions and raw tomatoes though, trying to force a palate change? Trying to change up your diet and stuff. Good on you though. And if anything, you know, or actually with the raw tomato part, yeah, I guess you just gotta bear with that. But yeah, with the onions though, a lot of things you can do with them. I love how the music just stops the moment I just point at Van Zeeks. Okay, hold on. Need to mix my tea a bit. A lot of the powder, or at least like the little bits of the thing I use are like sitting at the bottom. I mean, it's not like matcha, but it's like this. Oh, what was it called again? Again, matcha. Basically, like some of the powder that was, or I guess like little remnants of like the leaves and whatever other little powders that were on there, kind of like sank to the bottom as it was steeping. Okay, there we go. Being able to eat a diverse range of foods is more convenient. Disliking things is restrictive. Oh yeah, I've been there. Like, it wasn't until middle school when I was forced to have what was it? When I was forced to take a cooking class that I finally got around. Well, I wouldn't say completely got around, but mostly got around my pickiness with foods. Because for the most part, the things I make in cooking class are my lunch, and well, like it. It's like well, if I'm gonna be making my basically be making my lunch every time, I might as well do my best to make it good and like it, you know. Because oh my god, it kind of makes me feel dumb looking back at how picky I was compared to now. Like now, like I just want to see if I can try as much stuff as I like to figure out like what specifically like I do like and like just really don't like under any circumstance, instead of just being picky just because it looks weird, but actually giving it a fair shot and all. When you were in a cooking class in high school, you're the only one in your group who would eat or drink spinach. The only one? Huh. You will point out that you got extra credit for using and eating spinach. That's one way to get people to try eating their veggies, but then that just shows how picky or reluctant people are. It's like, oh yeah, you get some extra credit if you use spinach. Nah, fuck that shit. It's like spinach or vegetables are disgusting. Guess who did better in that class? Hey, good on you. You get extra. What was it? You get extra free points on your grade, and you eat healthier. Dude, that is a win-win. All those other guys are missing out just because vegetables. What was it? And just thinking about this talk about vegetables kind of just reminds me of some clips I saw of some VTubers. Like most notably, Nene and I forget who else among at least or at least with like the Hololive girls. Uh, I'm not sure about like Holostars or other VTubers I watch because I don't think I watched enough of them or saw enough clips that talked about their food preferences. But I know with Nene, like I think until recently. Oh, when I say recently, I mean like at least within the year. But assuming however old she is, like that's probably a very long time that she was extremely reluctant to not eat any vegetables under any circumstance. I'm like, okay, I get not liking vegetables, but dear God, you need some of that nutrition. You need some kind of nutrition to get you through your part of your life. I mean, of course, like you could go without it, but like I'm sure there'd be some issues down the road. Not like the spinach even affected the taste of the foods you made. Just free credit nutrition. Hmm. Yeah, because depending on what you cook it with, like sometimes you don't even notice the spinach there. Honestly, but maybe like you taste some of it, but at least with some of the dishes I remember trying out. Again, some of the names elude me, or at least like when I try them. Because now that I think about it, how many actual spinach like how many dishes do I actually remember have spinach cooked with it? Now that I think about it, usually it's like something else. Huh. But either way, I never, in the times I had, uh, dishes with spinach, I never really hated it. Times they gave you that option was with pizza and smoothies. I mean, with pizza, like you have all the other like sauces, cheese, and toppings to like obscure or combine with spinach. Man, all those other guys that just refuse or whatever spinach, like oh my gosh, like come on, you have pizza, one of the most like versatile like foods you can work with. Surely the other flavors of whatever you can add on to it, or hell, all the pepperoni you want, or if you just really like pepperoni or some shit, just for an example, like can obscure the spinach flavors. Like if you really don't like it, I'm like, man, spinach did literally nothing to the smoothie. It was exactly the same. Was it like some kind of like variety of like a vegetable smoothie? I never actually drank a vegetable smoothie before. I think I remember those are a thing. I never actually drank one before or had one made to drink. And like a legit one. Not like one of those what are those things in that I saw like a market before? Like oh yeah, like V8 or some crap. Oh god, I remember drinking some of those before because my brother bought some. Because I think he just wanted to try it out and see how good it was. Oh my god, some of them just tasted terrible. I was like, oh yeah, you get like all your veggie nutrition and stuff, all in this convenient processed bottle. I'm like, yeah, uh, you don't think it was a veggie smoothie exactly? The class was food and fitness, so it was overall health based. Ah, I feel like a class like that should be mandatory. Because, like, man, just like hearing from other people or just anecdotal stuff, there's so many people who don't even know much or even want to bother with basic nutrition. Or, like, at least, like, take into consideration their diet. It was a very easy class. Oh, I bet. But anyway, uh, least approachable man in the world winner, 10 years in a row. Be strong, Mr. Naruhodo. Your country and your assistants stand firm behind you. Um, Lord Van Zeeks? Wait, that food and fitness class also kind of has a PE credit, but super lax in that area? Huh. What? Well, beautiful weather we're having, isn't it? Renosuke, I don't think small talk is your forte here. Speaking of PE credit, man, like every time I think about PE at this point, I mean, I just have flashbacks to my aerobics class, which is just cardio city, obviously given the name. But oh dear God, I mean, there's this other PE class I took in university. It's quite literally fitness walking, and it sounds like the dumbest class ever. And you bet your ass I took it for easy credit, because I was just very reluctant to partake in any sports classes. So I'm like, nah, I'm lazy. Just give me something easy. Oh, what's fitness walking? And then the instructor is the most chill guy I've ever had the pleasure of like uh of being with, basically. I was like, yep. See, so we're just gonna go take a long walk, and then you guys can go. Also, we got some readings, but you can kind of like it's basically like, oh, you're gonna be quizzing these readings, but it's open book, so you can just like pop open the PDFs as you're taking the thing. So just whatever, man. We're all just here to walk, just learn about general health stuff. Not that anyone will really care, honestly, given how they given their attitudes in the class. And then for the final, you're gonna power walk for your final under the fastest time you can. And dude, okay, I know we're just getting into more and more tangents, but you cannot believe, you cannot believe how lazy or stupid people can be. It's just like, okay, like our instructor, here's your final, guys. I want you guys to walk 2 miles, like under the target time based on like certain like things or whatever. Like I think like difference between male and female times and age and other weight stuff or whatever he said the calculation was or something. I was like, okay, you guys had to walk or do this many laps or do whatever, and I will check on every one of you guys as you're going around the track. And remember, power walking. There are some people who tried to fucking shortcut the track without him noticing. I'm like, bro, you're trying to cut through part of a long fucking track. You think he wouldn't fucking notice? And people started running so that they can get it over and done with. I'm like, bro, just fucking walk. You just have to fucking walk. I'm like, I've seen at least 2 or 3 people in my class of like, what, 30 or more get booted out of the final, having to retake it, if not either fail or were put at risk of failing the class. I'm like, bro, you just have to fucking walk. I'm sorry. It still bothers me to this day, and it's been years since I took that fucking walking class. It still eats away at me that people are that stupid or lazy, or, well, technically not really lazy if they're willing to run it, but it's like, dude, you just have to walk. Like, surely you're not that unfit enough to walk like 2 miles or however long they had to go. I'm just like, bro. And I consider it like, at least just judging by people's builds and stuff looking around my class, I'd say a good chunk of them were more fit than I am. I bet they even go to the gym. And yet, they were caught out running in a final in a walking class where they had to power walk. I'm like, the fuck? And I was technically I was sort of cheating it as well. I was walking in like the innermost lane on the track so that I would at least cut down the amount of laps I was required to do, compared to walking along the outer edge, which has a lot more distance to walk around and stuff. So I mean, like the instructor was kind of lenient on that because he didn't really care that much that people want to cheat a little bit. But then you had people trying to like just cut through the entire fucking field entirely. I'm like, bro, at least do the little like life hack of that PE class and just walk on the innermost lane of the track. Like, because if you just do some basic math or just have basic knowledge of a track field or whatever, the innermost lane is the shortest out of all the lanes. Just walk along that. I'm like, how hard is that? I'm so mad about that. I'm sorry. I will repeat myself until the end of time, but just, oh my god, I swear, some people, dude. Please. The links that people go to the links that people go through to basically fuck themselves over at the very end of it all. It's like, just put in the honest effort, please. You're putting in so much extra effort to try to save yourself like 2 minutes of your time. It's basically like when I'm out driving sometimes, and then you have this asshole driver, right? Like he tries to like basically like, you know, like let's say it's like medium to heavy traffic. You have like cars like basically like one extra car space ahead of you and like everyone on your sides and stuff. And then you have this asshole driver who tries to thread the needle through each lane, like weaving in and out at risk of like scraping like someone else's car or my car, all to just basically stop at the stoplight one car ahead of me. And I'm like, you go through all that trouble through like and go through all that risk of crashing into someone or me and my family just so you can be one spot ahead of me at the intersection. I'm like, dude, you could have saved yourself the pain and hassle and just drive normally. Because like, even if he was successful, that would have saved them like a minute or two. Like, come on. I always hate coming across drivers like that, dude. It just infuriates the hell out of me. Just drive at the fucking speed limit, and then if the stoplight turns yellow and then red, so be it. Don't try to like Need for Speed this shit, bobbing and weaving through like 3-4 lanes of like medium to heavy traffic just to skip one extra stoplight. I'm just like, bro, chill. I almost had some asshole car like bump into me at some point. I'm just like, I really felt like I was gonna have a road rage moment myself. And I'm like, no, that'll land me in jail or at least a ticket or some shit. But anyway, rant over. I thought I was making it quite clear that I didn't want to be disturbed. Apparently you Nipponese are unequipped to read the signs. Oh, I read them. So, what are you doing here? Entry to this area is prohibited. Well, the thing is, Lord Chief Justice Strongheart granted us permission to investigate. Sounds like my class and your class had the same issue. Yeah, like, you have the freest class ever. Why would you even bother cheating? It's like, people still fall behind. Yeah, it's just like, school culture in general, I guess. Like, I get if people wanted, I get if people are pushed to cheat in like a very difficult class, like, or even like an honors or AP class or basically like college classes at being taught at a high school, basically, so people can like get extra credit and like skip ahead if they try to apply to college and stuff. I was like, oh, I actually took this college level class in high school. Like, I get if people are pushed to that point. I don't condone it, but I will get it if they do that there. But then when you have something like fucking fitness walking, how do you lag behind in a walking class or even cheat where you had to walk like 2 or more miles. I'm just like, bro. I can't. On the condition that we didn't disturb anything. And yet you've managed to disturb me. Ah. Never mind. State your business then. Come to think of it, there are quite a few things I'd like to ask Lord Van Zieks about. Not least of which is that awful case, even though it's nothing to do with this. Ask away, Mr. Naruhodo. You won't know unless you try. So, Clint was the name of your older brother, I understand, Lord Van Zieks. You Nipponese. I always have to be on guard whenever you're around. So, you've been investigating me, have you? Oh, no, it's not like that. Well, alright, it is a bit like that. My older brother was also a prosecutor. He was a pride of the Van Zieks family. But tragically, a vicious killer took him from us. The professor, you mean? Is something funny? That's the extent of what you discovered, is it? Shouldn't be surprised. Sorry, there's more to it then. Lackluster work is very much your trademark, isn't it? You're too kind. Are you going to tar all Nipponese with the same brush next? So tell me, what's your interest in that historic incident? As it happens, Lord Van Zieks, there's a rather curious case that's come to our attention. Are you aware of the Madame Tuspel's Museum of Waxwork by any chance? I am, naturally. I believe that since last month I feature in one of the displays there, for public scorn. Of course, the infamous Reaper of the Bailey would have to be exhibited, wouldn't he? Well, a particular waxwork had been stolen from the place, and held, has been, and held for ransom. Particular waxwork, which... Wait, you mean... Yes, it's the Professor. Mr. Sholmes is investigating the case as we speak. I was unaware of that. He's turned as white as a sheet. Huh, wait, even Van Zieks is scared shitless. Please try to locate the engineer, Mr. Drebber, already. The man Ice's brother. Yeah. Of course it would affect him. No, but I guess like, just like going deeper into it, it's like, the fact that someone picked out the professor specifically from the Waxwork Museum to hold for ransom, that one specifically out of all the other works of art there that could be taken and probably sold for a similar, if not higher value, depending. Are the police trying to locate the engineer, Mr. Drebber, already? Surely that goes without saying. We're very keen to see him found as well. The trouble is, we don't have much to go on aside from the description of the man we heard in court earlier. Which, according to Professor Harebrain, was of a tall, thin gentleman who has straight white hair and wears a black monocle. So I was just wondering, I mean, I realize it's probably not possible, but we very much appreciate any more clues you can give us. Wow, Susato-san really knows how to take the bull by the horns. Fine, why not? I have a photograph of the man here from an investigation 10 years ago. Oh. though it appears he already had that black monocle at the time. What? Oh, nothing. I was just surprised that you shared that with us. We all need the man's testimony in court tomorrow. Which means we had to do everything we possibly can to track him down in the short time available. So why wouldn't I show you the photograph? What is it about Lord Van Zeeks? Sometimes I just can't work him out at all. The file I requested for the trial tomorrow. Thank you. Suddenly a masked man. I wonder who this is. Are you alright? Who is this man, Mr. Naruhodo? Lord Van Zeek's apprentice, apparently. So I'm not the only one. Susato-san can see it too. Lord Van Zeeks, may we speak with your apprentice for a moment? No. With him? Why? Kazuma-sama! Oh. Okay, so my guess was completely off then. Azuma. I don't believe it. Your posture, your presence, can only be. Wait, who did I think it was? Nah, I'm not gonna say. I'm too embarrassed at this point. It's you, isn't it, Kazuma-sama? I felt something strange the very first time I encountered this cloaked figure. As if I knew him somehow. Can it really be you, Kazuma? Wait! Too late. What's going on here? Wait. Does Van Zeeks not even know the... What is your interest in my apprentice exactly? You act as if you know the man or something. Well, since when has he been in your care? I don't recall you having an apprentice before I left Britain 6 months ago. Lord Strongheart introduced him to me about 3 months ago now. Hey Detail, how you doing? With instructions to mentor him as a prosecutor. No fucking way. But he didn't tell you why, did he? The man appears to be suffering from amnesia. He's forgotten every last detail about himself. Bro, come on! Don't give me the amnesia bullshit. Come on. Come on, dude. I know that Cosmo got bopped on the head like during that case, but I'm like, come on. I don't want to do fucking amnesia, dude. Did Cosmo's body disappear? Since case 2, ever since we first saw the body during the opening, it's been removed and never been seen since. We only have autopsy reports. And Susato mentioned, wait, we never saw Cosmo's body ever since, or as we did the investigation and onwards since that, since the case went on. So from that entire time on the steamship, no one ever mentioned or saw Cosmo's actual body. Man, now that they pointed out, Maybe I should have noticed in hindsight. But at the same time, it's just like, I don't know. I kind of wish that. I don't know. I kind of wish that they didn't just off him like that, and then it feels like doing a lot of stuff like behind the scenes or something, or I don't know. They said he supposedly has amnesia, but like, I don't know. I don't like. I just don't like most amnesia stories in general. The irony of a racist like Van Ziek's mentoring Kazuma. Yeah. But yeah, at least judging by this, even Van Zieks doesn't know yet. He has amnesia. Tomorrow he will appear in court at my side. What? He's to serve as my judicial assistant on Lord Strongheart's orders. Damn! Well, he'll be in court with us? Now then, unless I'm much mistaken, I believe this conversation has run its course. Oh. Yes, thank you. Benzie has no power here from the sounds of it. Probably. I definitely saw a reaction there. When Susato-san called out like that, it really seemed to hit a nerve. Hold on. I think the whatever powder remnants in my tea latching on my throat right now. When she called out Kazuma-sama, I just passed the katana to him, and then like he'll remember everything just by feeling the blade. It's like, oh, this is my family's katana that's been with us for generations. I remember everything now, from the feel of the hilt and all that shit. I don't fucking know, dude. Definitely some political maneuvering. I mean, I wouldn't put it past them. I mean, given Strongart's position. You'd already met that masked man, hadn't you, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, yesterday, in fact, at Lord Van Ziek's office. I see. And if Kazuma-sama really is still alive, it means that Mr. Sholmes lied to us. I know. We're going to need to speak to him about that. We're going to have to leave now. The forensic investigation team are due to arrive shortly. If they find you here, it will cause problems. What sort of problems? Foreign affair problems. Well, we could do without that. Alright, we'll be on our way. Let's go, Mrs. Sato. Of course. Oh my, no wonder it's called the House of Horrors. I'd like to turn on my heels and go straight home, via the confectionery. Being scared makes you crave sweets. I can understand that. I was looking forward to a reunion after 6 months away, but there's no sign of Mr. Sholmes anywhere. That's strange. He should be here investigating the abduction of the waxwork. Oh well, I suppose we'll just have to come back again later. Oh, what a horrifying scene. A murderer caught in a grisly act. I know, and in case you're wondering, it's the one with the big knife that's supposed to be the killer. I don't think anybody would be in any doubt about that, surely. And did you know that according to the description, the bathtub at the back has no particular significance? What? Really? I would have thought that it meant to show that the killer also worked in the bathhouse peddling criminal wares. Huh? Aha, we have a new theory. Ah yes, the heavy curtains in the middle of the House of Horrors. Whatever's on the other side of them, you just know it's going to be terrifying, don't you? The sign says it's the Madame Tussble's special exhibit. It seems you have to pay extra to go inside. I know, can you believe that? Pay more money as if we haven't been scared enough already! It's not my doing, Miss Naruto. That old policeman isn't here now, obviously. I still can't believe he just happened to be on the jury, though. I'd understand that London has a population of 6 million people, and yet... You do seem to run into the same people disproportionately often, don't you? You know, are they really addressing this? Dude, oh my god, if they actually address how the jury... We get very particular individuals in the jury, oh my god. Nah, they're just gonna leave it at that remark, are they? This one's posture reveals his weakness. Sorry? The killer stands leaves him wide open to attack. I'm quite sure I can see him off. With a suicidal takedown, and then a suicidal squash, and finally a suicidal smash. Right. And if that doesn't render the culprit unconscious, a suicidal slam should finish him. A suicidal slam? Oh, I'm sorry. It's rather hard to explain. Let me show you. Leave yourself open slightly and I'll demonstrate. No, absolutely not. Just trip him. Easy. Whoa. Current theory, strong heart tampering of the jury. I mean, any signs of any funny play would immediately show, or would probably show strong heart because of like just how, like, what was it? How influential his current position is, let alone Attorney General. I believe this is it. Dr. Seth's laboratory. That chemical smell really assaults the nose, and there's plenty to assault the eyes in here too. It looks as though the doctor isn't here, but we're here now, so we may as well do some sightseeing, don't you think? What a seasoned tourist you've become, Mr. Sato. We could just have a little look around, being careful not to upset any restless souls. Look at all the bottles on the shelves in these cabinets. What an assortment of chemicals! These ones are labeled highly toxic. Ah, that's worrying, because there's also things that look like salt and pepper shakers in here. Oh yes, and they actually say salt and pepper on them. The doctor probably spends a lot of time in this room, I suppose. Perhaps she has meals in here sometimes. That's rather... A table on this set of sharp tools. When you consider each in isolation, it all looks quite innocent. Other than when you put them side by side, they seem so horribly disturbing. It might be best not to ponder it too deeply. Seeing the large tome that's open on the desk does make me wonder, though. Can anybody concentrate on bookwork with this, acrid odor of chemicals in the air? You'd either have to have a cast iron constitution, or a really terrible sense of smell. Those large jars seem to have pale things floating around inside of them. I suppose they're fruit liquors or something, or like the pickled umeboshi plums that we make back home. Ah, Father had jars like that in his laboratory as well. I expect they're human organs in a preserving solution, probably as examples of some rare medical condition. Mr. Sato, there are some things in the world that it's perfectly fine to never know about. Ever. Oh. So, as I said, I'm sure their fruit liquors are only bullshit, aren't they? Oh, of course. I suppose this is Dr. Sith's desk. I would not like to work in a place like this. It's very tidy though, isn't it, Mr. Naruhodo? Imagine how efficiently she must work. The lighting is poor, which is bad for the eyes. The chemical smell can't be good for you. Not to mention the skeleton watching over you as you work, which is definitely bad for the nerves. Well, yes, those are valid concerns, I suppose. I can just about cope with the one-eyed Daruma doll watching over me, but that's all. But look at this! What a magnificent display case. The cherry wood has been polished to a high sheen, and the intricate... You son of a bitch. Is this referencing what I think it is? No, they're not referencing what I think they're referencing. No fucking way. Resin cabinet makers are really skilled, aren't they? Do you have nothing to say about the skeleton inside, Mr. Naruhodo? Mr. Sato, can't you tell that I'm trying very hard to avoid talking about the terrifying contents of the case? It's how I cope! Coping. I'll be sure to remember that from now on. That looks like an owl and a crow up there. I know, and they haven't twitched since we came in here. Well, no, they wouldn't have. They're taxidermy mounts, Mr. Naruhodo. I was afraid you were going to say that. I've been trying very hard to tell myself they're just sleeping with their eyes open. Well, I mean, owls... If I remember correctly, don't owls, always have their eyes open and stuff? Or, wait. No, it's that they can't, sorry. It's that they can't, move their eyes, if I remember correctly, right? They had to turn their heads to look around. Yeah, that's the fact I'm getting confused. Hey, Balvin. How you doing? Yes, I think perhaps you were wise to put something like that, I think perhaps you were wise to put something like your Daruma doll on display in the office instead. You picked up Trails of Cold Steel 2 the other day since I was on sale? Still not done with Trails in the Sky 1? Good. Wait. Have fun with Trails in the Sky 1 though. However long it takes. Look at this big thick book here. Ah, it appears to be an accounting ledger. It's a record of the forensic investigation team's spending, I think. Oh. What is it? It's clear that the team purchases various equipment and supplies on a monthly basis, but... Well, one entry seems rather strange. Really? In what way? They're buying 500 scalpels every month! 500?! They must be working really hard on dissecting corpses. I don't know. Judicial autopsies are only carried out in certain special circumstances. And scalpel blades can be sharpened too. It does seem a bit strange, you're right. 500 scalpels a month. What could they be possibly using all of them for? What are you doing? Oh. Sorry, we had something we wanted to ask you, but you weren't here, so... So you thought you'd snoop around. That's acceptable to you people from the East, is it? Well, what do you want? Old Strongheart told us, you see, that it was you who examined the victim's body. Mr. Asmon's body, I mean. So we came to ask you about your findings, on Lord Strongheart's advice. Very well. If the Lord Chief Justice has given his consent, I'll tell you what our investigation has revealed. But when we're done, you must leave immediately. Damn. Hey, check out my armband. Think I'm good enough. So I'm not good enough? In that case, why would you show me anything? Bad first impression. So, you want to know what the forensic investigation team determined from its examination of the scene. The victim, Mr. Adi Asman, who disappeared from the experimentation stage amid an explosion, and the Mr. Asman who died, who appeared moments later partway up the Crystal Tower, were without question one and the same person. That is the team's conclusion. But that can't be right. If it was an elaborate trick, we can only speculate about how it was carried out. Let's see, if two people who look very similar to each other were involved, they could have made it appear as if one single person had switched places, couldn't they? Very true, but sadly in this instance, that was not the case. The man who disappeared and the man who subsequently reappeared was the same person. The fingerprints at the scene make that quite evident. Ah, fingerprints. They're not yet officially recognized as forensic evidence in the British justice system. But one day, they will be used as an investigative aid as a matter of course. Oh my, but that would mean that the instantaneous kinesis actually took place. So, where does that leave us? My team was tasked with investigating, not drawing conclusions. Oh. Instantaneous kinesis is impossible, and yet the body did move from one place to the other. This hasn't cleared anything up at all. It's made the whole thing even more, even more of a mystery. But wait, Mama, what's this? Where did she spring from? And did she just call the doctor Mama? This is a lawyer, dear. Oh. Hello. To meet you. Pleased to meet you. Yes, I'm a defense lawyer. Ryunosuke Naruho. Mama. Oh. Have I seen... No. Yes. Can I cut this one up? Oh, shit. What? Hey, don't do that to the blades! You're gonna damage them! I've never seen inside an Eastern person before. I want to know what it looks like. Of course you can't. It's a live specimen, as you can very well see. Huh. Boring. This girl's creepy. I don't know what gave you that impression. Is Jack all grown up? Dismemberment? I think I just had a near-death experience. Oh dear, Mr. Naruhodo, you're as pale as a corpse. And let's leave before I'm mistaken for one. Well, I think we've done all the investigating we can here for now. If we could just determine the whereabouts of Mr. Drebber. I'm sure Gina and little Toby won't let us down. Now then, do you think we ought to try to speak with Mr. Sholmes at this point? We have things to discuss and I'm dying to meet him again after all these months. Yes, it's quite possible he might know something useful, you're right. We ought to find him at Madame Tuspel's. He's supposed to be working there as a temporary waxwork exhibit. Yes, I was told me all about his latest unusual venture. So, what are you doing at the moment, Doctor? Keeping a close eye on things so no impertinent Easterners think they can look around my office. Are there such impertinent Easterners around? How terrible! Yes, you. She doesn't mince her words, Mrs. Sato. I think perhaps it's time we left. Jack found a good mom in this timeline. Madame Tuspo's Museum of Waxwork. Here we are again, at the House of Horrors. I'm afraid I haven't gotten used to the place yet. I'd still like to turn on my heels and go straight home. Via the confectionery, of course. Susato-san really is after something sweet today, isn't she? Oh! What's the matter? Look, Mr. Naruto, look at that waxwork. I'm quite sure it wasn't there before. It looks exactly like Mr. Sholmes down to the very last detail. Aha! What is it? Oh, sorry, I think you'll find, that's the temporary waxwork himself. Ah, the friend of my dedicated employee. Oh yes, hello again. It's Ryunosuke. Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I must say, I'm quite spellbound by the great detective. He's a marvel. My precious waxwork is already back to where it belongs. You don't mean... But yes, the mystery is solved already. Wow, Mr. Sholmes can really engage his brain when he's hungry enough. So as you can see, he has returned to his habitual duties. Yes. His habitual duties? Alos. Do not disturb, huh? Poor Sato-san, she looks very perplexed. We really do need to speak with Mrs. Sholmes, and I'm longing to say hello again. But where is he? Susato! Oh my god. I think you might find that he's quite nearby, actually. Oh, wait, what do you... Indeed, my dear fellows, it is I! The world-famous great detective and waxwork, Herlock Sholmes. Susato-san! Susato-san! My most humble apologies. I thought I died and gone to eternal paradise for a moment, via London. My dear madam, allow me to make amends by offering you a tasty-free deduction at some point, as long as it's not of questionable street food quality. I don't understand. Are you working as a waxwork here, Mr. Sholmes? Merely a secret identity, you understand. Though the case is largely solved by now. Or solved now. Largely solved. We're talking about the waxwork abduction, I presume. Indeed we are, my good fellow. As I predicted, it was as easy as proverbial pie. Though I confess, I'm yet to partake of a pie, proverbial or otherwise. Or any food so far today, for that matter. Okay, hold on, I need to check something out real quick. That stomach rumble echoed around the whole museum. So how'd you manage to solve it so quickly? Ah, well, do you remember I said it was largely solved? Anyway, I simply negotiated with the culprits. Are you familiar with the so-called telephone? Oh yes, it's a most modern invention, allowing you to hold a conversation with people far away. In Japan, only the imperial capital and a handful of other cities are connected as of yet. This morning, a telephone call was received here from the perpetrator of the abduction. As such, I was able to negotiate terms, and in the end, the waxwork was returned. That's amazing! Just between you and I, it would appear that the culprit had always intended to return the stolen waxwork in any event. What is it, Blue Blanc? Oh, but I thought whoever was responsible had demanded a ransom, no? Yes, I think perhaps the ransom demand was necessary to avoid unwanted suspicion regarding the true motive. It was Kazuma that did it. But does that not mean your negotiating was entirely unnecessary? A fact that I must ask you to keep from Madame Tusples at all costs. A hungry young Iris awaits my return to Baker Street after all. Poor Iris. Now then, do I sense that you have some business with this great waxwork? We're in the process of trying to track somebody down. Oh. Excuse me. Yes, a man by the name of Enoch Drebber. He's the swindler who duped Professor Harebrain and the engineer who built the kinesis machine. A swindler and an engineer. Quite the modern man. He also seems to be a conjurer of sorts too, with a considerable knowledge of stage magic. We really need to locate him before the trial resumes tomorrow morning. But we have so few clues to go on, and that's the trouble. Do you have any good ideas? I have no data yet. It is a capital mistake to have good ideas before one has data. If I knew something of the man's appearance, at least I may be in a better position to help. Yes, Drebber's appearance. Fortunately for you, however, presently I have little to occupy myself with, and little to fill my stomach. As soon as you find any clue, no matter how small, I should gladly give you my thoughts on it. Oh, wait, wrong one. Oh wait, no, that's... Oh wait, no, I was thinking about... Oh no, I was getting the pictures mixed up in my head. So never mind. Mr. Sholmes, would you cast your eyes over this photographic print? It's of Mr. Enoch Drebber, the face of the engineer we seek. Well, all Englishmen look broadly the same, of course. So looking at the photograph won't be particularly instructive. Are you Mr. Sholmes? Ah, yes, forgive me. Very interesting this. Very interesting indeed. What's wrong, Mr. Sholmes? You turned quite pale all of a sudden. It's his brother! You know anything about a crossbow? Ruppence per item as a consultation fee. That's 2 hours of gas. Okay, let's get back to the combo. Huh? Huh. Oh, he really doesn't want to describe anymore. Mr. Sholmes, did you lie to us? My dear Mr. Naruto, stay that piercing stare. What is this about? Last winter, when we were first on our way to Britain aboard the steamship, the words were very clear. So then, let us unravel this mystery and discover what events led to this curious murder. You told us that it was murder, and you examined Kazuma-sama's body. Indeed. And wherein lies the problem? We met him earlier today. The victim, Kazuma Asagi. You're quite sure? He was wearing some sort of mask and was apparently suffering from amnesia. But yes, I'm quite sure it was Kazuma-sama. You must have known at the time, Mr. Sholmes, that he wasn't actually dead. Well, I can only assume I was swept up in the murderous atmosphere of the moment. Sholmes. But the fellow isn't dead at all! Ah, priceless. I don't suppose that performance would pass muster, would it, Mr. Naruto? I could believe that the crewman present at the time made a mistake. But not you, Mr. Sholmes. I will now tell you something of the first importance, my dear fellow. Great detectives are wont to lie. It will serve you well to remember that. Please, Mr. Sholmes. Tomorrow in court, you will find yourself on the threshold of a very great mystery. For now, I'm afraid that is all I can say. I have a suggestion, Mr. Naruto. Will you indulge me? Oh, well, what is it? As I explained to you when you arrived, the missing waxwork has been returned, and I personally reinstalled it in the exhibit from which it was taken, behind those thick curtains. Oh yes, the Professor exhibit, isn't it? Would you like to see it? For a mere 5 shillings. That's a special one-time only price, you understand. What? The opportunity won't come again, I might add. Wouldn't you like to see the fruits of my labor? Oh, well, I do have a rather pressing investigation to carry out. Perhaps we could postpone. The price is a very reasonable 5 shillings. I think you'll find it's well worth it. Are you being quite serious, Mr. Sholmes? You need only look at my expression to ascertain if this is seriousness or silliness. Both. I can never tell with you. That's the point. Very well, it couldn't hurt. Here's your 5 shillings. Gratefully received. So, the special exhibit awaits behind the curtain, and I invite you to peruse it at your leisure. Well, the money's spent, so let's go see the special exhibit. Huh. Through those heavy curtains at last. $5 shillings we've had to pay. Doesn't seem right, some of that Mr. Sholmes slipped the money into his own pocket, does it? No. Ah, we could ask Gina to retrieve it for us, using her special skills. Pickpocketing police officers and diddling detectives. Is this what makes Britain great? Not to mention demigod prosecutors taking the law into their own hands out of chip-loving inspectors. Inspector Gregson comes off rather well in that list, I think. Excuse me. Oh, come on! Oh dear. I felt a shiver run down my spine as we walked in here. Mrs. Sato! I say we turn on our heels and go straight home, via a really big confectionery. We certainly can't do that. We've paid 5 shillings already. Sally, he couldn't just get ahead in life. Oh God. True. Actually, now that I'm looking a little more closely, we've paid good money to see an exhibit that's clearly incomplete. The nerve of the great diddling detective is far more terrifying than anything else in this place. This must be what Mr. Sholmes meant when he said the case was largely solved. He doesn't want us to know the actual face of the man. Be that as it may, Mr. Sholmes heavily implied there'd be a clue about the engineer in here, didn't he? But where? Since we paid 5 shillings, let's do 5 shillings worth of investigation, shall we? Yes, we will get what we paid for. Is that fear or frustration that's making Susato-san's voice tremble? This part of the exhibit is just as disturbing as the rest. It looks so real. It looks to be a young man with a white overcoat. And he has a large shovel in his hand too. Look. Perhaps we should investigate in a little more detail. What's this here? Well, this would appear to be a lens in the middle, so I believe it's probably a camera. A camera? But it's so small! British technology is incredible, isn't it? I mean, what about Mr. Sholmes' skin prints? I think perhaps you should treat Mr. Sholmes' inventions as exceptions to the rule. But anyway, how would the man be in a graveyard at night with a camera? I wonder. Perhaps he was trying to capture a moment a dead body came back as a ghost on film. We'll just borrow this for a little while, I think. When looking at the photographic plate inside the camera, we can see what picture was taken. What's a photographic plate? It's a piece of glass coated in a special emulsion that reacts to the light coming in through the lens. If we open the cover at the back of the camera, we should find it. Let's have a look. You should see yourself, Susato-san. Your eyes are shining. You really do like machinery, don't you? That's quite a large lamp that the man's carrying. Or is it a lantern? It's not like a Japanese chochin paper lantern, actually, is it? Lamp, lantern, chochin... The point is, it casts very little light. To be walking alone in a graveyard at night with only this... Well, I certainly couldn't do it. I'm not sure I could visit a graveyard at all, even in broad daylight, to be honest. Can't see his face very well, can you? Perhaps if I just... Oh, do you think you should be manhandling the exhibits, Mr. Naruhodo? I'll put it back exactly as it was, don't worry. Bruh. Ah. What on earth? How can... I don't believe it. A black monocle! Mr. Naruhodo, is it possible that this man is... Yes. It's Enoch Drebber. Got the thick brows, the monocle, and like that long shape of like the chin and stuff. The lighting really makes it... Although, a white suit and white tie. The color of his hair is different, but it's unmistakably him! Yeah. There are differences, like the hair is not exactly... Indeed it is. Ah. Mr. Sholmes! This man is the subject of your present hunt, I believe. Man aged decently, think the white hair looks better on him even? Yes, that's right. Just who is this man? Why is he here in this exhibit? And why does the convict behind him have no head? The head was missing when the model was returned by the thief who stole it. What a surprise. So then the case isn't solved yet, is it? Did I not say so myself? Largely solved with my words, I believe. But I must locate the missing head, Tote the sweet, as Madame would say, or I'll be in grave trouble. Alright, I'm out. A very hungry iris still awaits my return to Baker Street, preferably with rations. Ah! Do you know, though, something about this room is strange. Strange? What do you mean? Well, the display in the House of Horrors are supposed to depict real events, are they not? Indeed they are, Mr. Sato. Do go on. And, as terrifying as they are, the scenes in the other exhibits are believable. But this one... This surely couldn't ever have happened. Could it? Oh boy. I think it's time I educated you a little. About the nature of the incidents involving the professor 10 years ago. This must be the killer. The fiend known as the Professor. Yes, I think so. According to what Madame Tuspel said, he killed 5 victims, all of noble royal blood. The waxwork is so lifelike, isn't it? Like all the models in this place. I know, it looks like it could start moving at any moment, doesn't it? Only it had a head, that is. Perhaps we should examine it in a little more detail. So this is the condemned man. Yes, the so-called professor. Wait. What did I see the numbers 139 before? Wait. Didn't I see in a different case? Then perhaps his head was chopped off by a guillotine. But unable to find peace, he emerged from his grave as a headless ghost. Do we have to entertain such terrifying ideas, Mr. Sato? Anyway, I'm sure the model had a head once. There's a metal fitting for it, see? Then, perhaps Mr. Sholmes absentmindedly forgot to reattach it. That's an extremely absent-minded detective you're describing, isn't it? Or perhaps the thief absentmindedly forgot to include the head when he or she returned it to the museum. I think that would be an extremely absent-minded thief. Could there have been some reason why only the head wasn't returned? Well, whatever the reason, it means we don't know what the face of the infamous professor looked like, do we? Oh. There's something caught just inside the convict's jacket here. It looks like a piece of broken glass. But a big piece, too. It's very thick, isn't it? About 5 times thicker than normal window glazing. Is that... Where could such a thick piece of glass have come from, I wonder? I suppose it must have been thick, made thick to increase its strength. But why? Well, perhaps because the glass had to span a particularly wide area, such as in a big building, for example. Ah, well, we've seen a large glass building recently, haven't we? And some of the glass was broken too. You don't mean... Exactly, the Crystal Tower at the Great Exhibition. But why would glass from the Crystal Tower be lodged in this waxwork's jacket? It makes you think, doesn't it? Part of the glass that was found in the folds of the clothing of the... Earlier we established that the kinesis experiment was a trick, and how we discovered this fragment of glass here in this waxwork. Is it just a coincidence? I believe I told you a little about the professor yesterday, did I not? He took the lives of 5 victims, every one being either a member of the aristocracy or royalty. All were attacked by an enormous hunting hound and had their throats ripped from their bodies. Oh gosh, an enormous hound? How awful. After taking the life of his fifth victim, the killer was apprehended. It was a case of unprecedented magnitude in Britain, you understand. Accordingly, the professor was tried in a closed court. No members of the public were permitted. A closed court? You mean that the professor's identity... As you surmise, my dear fellow, his identity was never made public. Naturally, he was found guilty and was summarily sentenced to death by hanging. He was buried in a grave at Lowgate Cemetery, which adjoins the rear of the prison where he had been held. However, that was not the end of the affair. Oh! The very night that he was buried, the convicted man came back to life. Came back to life? He clawed his way out of the ground and emerged into the moonlit graveyard. The exhibit here depicts that very scene, as described by the sole witness to the chilling events. There's a witness? But of course, my dear fellow, it was none other than... the young man in the white overcoat. Enoch Drebber. You saw it happen? Bryce, can we kinda tune down the speculating here? So, this is a waxwork model of Enoch Drebber. 10 years ago, the convicted professor, having been gibbeted and buried, emerged from his grave in the dead of night. The sole witness to the unimaginable scene was this young man. From appearances, I would say he was about 20 years old. It's so horrifying. Scared out of his wits, the young Drebber ran to a nearby police station to report the incident. The sheer terror of what he'd seen is said to have turned his hair white overnight. Yes, as shown in the photograph we have of him, his hair is completely white. For the following days, the story of what he'd seen was on every front page in the capital. The public was frantic for every last detail about the killer who'd come back to life. As you've seen, an exhibit was even created here at Madame Tuspel's. I can quite understand why the man's hair turned white suddenly. But what I don't understand is what Mr. Drebber was doing in the first place. In the lonely graveyard, in the middle of the night. Yes, what was he up to? The professor's acts of terror threw London's upper classes into a complete panic 10 years ago. It was a great scandal, one might say, at the highest levels of society. And since the killer's identity was never made public, rumors abounded. After all, no killer had ever before systematically employed a dog as a weapon of murder. Yes, I can imagine the impact the case must have had, but in time, of course, the rumors abated. So too did talk of the shocking witness account of the convict who came back to life. It was forgotten, dismissed as a dubious ghost story, as a preposterous parlor tale. But why did people stop believing it? Why? Simply because there was no resurrection to speak of, as was established in fact. What do you mean by no resurrection? The police investigated the grave in Lowgate Cemetery and published their findings. The convict's body was found to be buried exactly where it had been following the execution. No! Well, that would mean Mr. Drebber must have lied to the police and the newspapers. That would appear to be the only logical explanation, yes. The young man subsequently vanished from society, and nothing has been heard of him ever since. It's rather striking, then, that he should resurface now, don't you think? Of course, the convicted murderer couldn't have come back to life. That's not possible. But Drebber's hair is unusually white, and that really did happen overnight as a result of shock. It's hard to believe that the incident was an out-and-out lie. What the bleeding Nora, Otto? What have you gone and done? Gina, what are you doing here? I asked Iris and she said this is where you'd be, so... Gina, what's the line in the museum? Madame Tusples will have you take a position as a waxwork if you're not careful. I think there might be a more pressing concern. I still had some flash powder left from 6 months ago, so... Oh wait, Gina, we understand. But please, put down the gun. Sorry about that. Had to move a bit. Sorry, I got scared. You should try being the one on the other end of the barrel. So, what brings you here, Gina? What brings me here? What do you think? We found it! That Doji Ko's workshop! What? You found Drebber's workshop? Yep, Toby's nose took me straight there. And the boss and the others are heading over there now in the drag. So come on! Here's the address. I got the boss to write it out. Oh, thank you, Gina. We'll make our way there at once. Alright then, see you there. You go. Don't mind me. I'll just stay here. Being still. What? I know my place. And the exhibit over there. Oh dear. Someone's feeling sorry for himself. Let's go, Mr. Sholmes. You're coming. Your words hearten me, I must say. If I were to shirk my duties here, Madam would have me pay monetary recompense, and Iris's dinner plate will be empty once more. Forget that! I'll pay for everything! Then there's not a moment to lose, my dear fellow. I shall hail a carriage at once. Bruh. No offer to share the cost from Mr. Sholmes, then. I shall gladly pay half, Mr. Naruhodo. Thank you, Mr. Sato. Right, let's go. Oh. There's the arrows. Looks like... Oh! It's another super high voltage instantaneous kinesis machine. Indeed it would appear so. Though only a prototype, naturally. Ah, so you got here then. Gina, well done finding this place. In such little time, you've really worked miracles. It's Toby here who's the miracle worker. Ah, I thought you would show up before long. Why do you have your eyes closed? Oh, hello, Inspector. That's one knitted brow. He looks like he's eating a lemon, not a bag of fish and chips. So, Inspector, is there any sign of the engineer? Sadly not. We didn't find a soul in here. Oh, what a shame. Well, thank you for letting us know about this place and giving us a chance to investigate. According to what Gina tells me, we only found it thanks to a clue that you lot turned up. I wouldn't want to say go to Paris with a debt of gratitude unpaid now, would I? Thank you. Anyway, if you're hoping to snoop around in here, I get cracking. Old Man Zeke's and the forensic investigation team are on their way here as we speak. Them again. I imagine you got the picture by now. They don't take too kindly to lawyer types. Right. So then, my dear fellow, let's turn this place upside down when we have the chance. And you, Sholmes. Pardon? They take even less kind to great detectives than they do lawyers. Very droll, Gregson. Very droll. But you may consider me nothing more than an inconspicuous waxwork model. Right then, let's see what we can find in here. It's a European style quiver of arrows with steel bolts inside. Oh, do you suppose? Possible bolts these. Just the right size for the bow you lot turned up at their exhibition grounds. In other words, yep, that's more evidence to support your theory. How goes to show that Trevor was the one pulling the strings behind the scenes of the whole scam? This door doesn't want to open. Yeah, looks like he's got a pretty hefty lock on it. There's a specialist locksmith on his way on his way over from the yard, so hands off until he gets here. With permission, Inspector, I could have that lock open in less than a minute. Well, you don't have permission. And no one's given it to you. Makes him look as though he really enjoyed that. Well, there's no sign of anybody on the other side. No. Trevor must have fled at the first sign of danger. I'm sorry, Mr. Naruto. That machine is covered by the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act. There will be serious repercussions if you were to examine it, from the Crown and the government. Wow! Wow! But those two don't seem to be holding back. It's quite hollow inside. No working parts or devices of deception to be seen, my dear fellow. No loose change dropped on the floor or nothing. Not even a bone for Toby here, my dear fellow. British people are very much ruled by their own ideals, aren't they? I think that's just these two, Mrs. Sato. Ah, this appears to be a most interesting. Yes, most interesting indeed, wouldn't you say? And it's an impressive looking back massager, that's for sure. I know that if you hit your shoulders a few times with that, your aches and pains would soon go away. It's a Royal Society trophy for excellence in science. A young scientist could wish for no higher honor. Ah, a back massager. Would you like a massage? No, I'm fine, thank you. I had no idea it was such a grand thing. I think it's becoming increasingly clear that there's much more to this Mr. Enoch Drebber than conjuring tricks. I couldn't agree more, my dear madam. And how about you, Miss Naruto? Wouldn't you like to take it with you? For your tired shoulders, of course. He's not gonna let that go, is he? It's curious though, isn't it? You would expect such an important trophy to be proudly on display somewhere, not haphazardly cast aside. English gentlemen can be quite a mystery at times. You know, that kind of scared me a bit. Not gonna lie. Oh, is something wrong, Mrs. Sato? Well, I thought I'd heard a noise from the far side of that door. Well, Gina, did you hear it too? Yeah, I heard it and all. What do you reckon, Toby? Right, mind the grease. Whoever's in there, open up. This is Scotland Yard. You ran away. Oh my, someone is in there! Oh, this rotten bleeding lock! My dear Gregson, as I said only minutes ago. If only it were countenanced, I could unlock that door in less than a minute. Ugh. Fine. I'll take the rap for it. Just get us through that blasted door. There! You may enter at will. You confuse minutes with seconds, I think. Time is of the essence, I feel. What are we waiting for? Nothing for it, I suppose. This is an emergency. There is a strong possibility that beyond that door is the engineer you all seek. Be prepared for action, my dear fellow. Yes. Oh. Oh. What? What's happening here? Why is everything upside down? Rats, there ain't no one in here at all. But there must be. It was only moments ago that we heard those noises. Maybe that was the sound of Trevor running away. But there's only one door into this room. There's no windows that can afford an escape route. Those skylights are too high. The footmarks? Wait, no way. Huh? What's that up there? Are they footprints? On the ceiling? Toby, what have we here then? No one's looking at the dynamite in the center of the fucking room? Looks like someone's trying to burn something in a hurry. Jekyllson, let's not, like, spoil any, like, expectations or anything like that by saying, oh, this part's terrific, or this part sucks, or anything like that. Let's not, like, put expectations on me from those comments. Oh. Oh, that looks like a set of blueprints. To what? To that Professor Harebrain's bombing machine, is it? Blind me! If we had these, there'd been no need to muck about trying to investigate all that scrap metal. There's something of great interest here too. This rope was lying on the floor at the foot of that pillar. A rope? What's significant about that? Oh, never mind. You see what you do not observe, Naruto. We must investigate the entire room thoroughly before the forensic investigation team arrive too. Jekyllson, what did I just say? I mean, you already said it, but it's like, you know, I hope you got the message though. The next time that comes up, it will be a timeout. I don't mean to be too strict, but building expectations when someone wants to, you know, experience something without knowing, not exactly a good thing. Mr. Sholmes, have you found something? Ah, Mr. Naruhodo, yes. In point of fact, something rather fascinating. What do you make of this? Let's see. I've never seen anything like it before. Looks like a bundle of thick cigars wrapped up. That's Susanoo. Mrs. Sato, what's the matter? Surely that's a time bomb, isn't it? What? Did you say a time bomb? Sorry, but what's a time bomb exactly? Eh? You truly are one of a kind, Mr. Naruto. I wouldn't take that as a compliment. Ha! You don't know nothing, do you, Otto? You haven't got a clue what it is either, have you, Gina? I invite you to consult the dictionary later, Mr. Naruto. But this particular specimen is no time bomb, though I confess it has a very similar shape or appearance. Oh, well, oh thank goodness. But then, what is it? I see, so that's it. Goodness, Mr. Sholmes, have you seen to the heart of the matter? There are times when I consider my lot most unfair. For I'm fated never to know how it feels to flounder as you do when the puzzle presents itself. But I learned to accept the hardships that come with being a great detective, Mr. Sato. Here we go. I feel a great deduction coming. Once again, I can draw two conclusions from the scene we see before us. The first is that the inverted nature of the furniture in this room is the work of Drebber himself. Oh, but how could you? And the second conclusion is that the small device on the floor there is without question completely genuine. Please, Mr. Sholmes, you must explain everything. It will be a pleasure. After all, it is a great detective's civic duty to teach Scotland Yard the finer points of the trade. Well, Inspector Grayson seems delighted with the idea anyway. Oh, you deflected the Inspector's glare with such fortitude there, Mr. Sholmes. Well done. You're too kind, my dear madam. I hereby dedicate this great deduction to you. Kindly stand just there, Mr. Sutter. Oh, yes, I'd be delighted. So, shall we begin? Once again, Sherlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. The game is afoot. It's plain to see that this room is in complete disarray. The bed, the table, the chairs, and the lamp, everything is upside down. It's almost as if every item in the room had until recently been happily positioned on the ceiling before falling straight onto the floor. Every item in the room was on the ceiling. Every item in the room was on the ceiling. Are you suggesting that? Indeed, the key here is gravity. What the fuck is... It would appear that technology has at last succeeded in freeing us from the great pull of the Earth. Oh my god. Well, the gravity in this room was reversed, and then suddenly restored to normality. Goodness. The inverted furniture clearly reveals the truth about the part gravity played in this whole business. I quite understand your skepticism, Mr. Sato. I too was incredulous at first. However, my conviction in my analysis was cemented when I first observed this. The anti-gravity device, almost identical to that one featured in the dream of mine only the other day, in fact. Anti-gravity device, my ass! But then why does it have a clock on it? A most relevant question indeed. That is a timing device that controls when the gravity direction will switch. There was clearly a requirement for the engineer to be able to restore normal gravity automatically. And the commotion we heard earlier from the other side of the door was the moment that a restoration occurred. Yes, the reason why everything in here has been turned upside down is because of the anti-gravity device. So you see, we need look no further to explain the state in which we now find this room. The direction in which gravity acts in here was reversed by Mr. Drebber, before being restored to normality in an automatic fashion sometime later by the timer device. I have witnessed precisely this scene in the dream I once had when I fell out of bed. How is that? When you fell out of bed? What the fuck? Now, let us consider the next conundrum. What was the engineer friend's aim? Indubitably, the greatest clue we have to explain his actions is above our heads. Yes, how is it possible that there are footprints all the way up there on the ceiling? A question whose answer will lead us neatly to the truth, my dear madam. The reason there are footprints on the ceiling is because of the nearby skylight. Of course, Drebber's aim was singular, to escape. However, there was but one way into this room, excepting the skylight, that is. Ah. By inverting the gravity in here, Drebber was able to fall conveniently to the sea. I'm sorry, this is so fucking bullshit. And make his escape via the otherwise inaccessible skylight, leaving those footprints behind on the way. But the ceiling in here is very high, Mr. Sholmes. If gravity reversal was sudden, wouldn't Mr. Drebber have fallen up to the ceiling rather violently? Falling up is both scientifically and philosophically a rather interesting concept, I feel. The man was cornered with nowhere to run, so escape through the skylight was his only option. You may recall that I found this in the room earlier, which I believe offers a solution. Oh, the rope! To reach the intended destination, what better tool than this rope? By anchoring one end to the wall, the man was able to lower himself safely to the ceiling. Which explains how Drebber was able to escape this room before our arrival. He reversed the pull of gravity and fled via the skylight. And personally, I should very much like to reverse the pull of gravity again now, just for fun. Oh my god. So... How does he come up with this bullshit? Thus concludes Herlock Sholmes' great deduction of this topsy-turvy puzzle. I'm not sure Gregson is amused or just utterly flabbergasted at the sheer bullshit that Sholmes just spewed out. And Gina didn't give a shit. And Susato was completely taken by that great deduction. He's completely spellbound. Mr. Sholmes, there's just one thing that troubles me. I would expect nothing less. You're destined to be troubled by just one thing for the rest of your life. The thing is such a thing actually possible? An anti-gravity device, I mean. I would say that with man's current scientific knowledge, at the turn of the 20th century, no. It is no more possible than instantaneous kinesis. But your whole deduction hinges on it! Ah, but my dear fellow, when you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. That is foreshadowing. However improbable it may seem. Ah. It is a marvelous line, wouldn't you agree? One of my more enduring pearls of wisdom. Oh, I had Iris come up with the exact phrasing. My original was clumsy. Yes, I have a feeling I've read it in something that Mr. Sato lent me once.
Objection!
Oh. Uh-oh. Actually, there is one other thing, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, the spell's broken at last. The rope you found was on the floor, wasn't it? Indeed it was. The lonely coil is near the wall. But if Mr. Drebber had used it to escape in the way you described, wouldn't it still be tied to the wall? Mysteries inevitably unravel in the end, as I think you'll find, through ropes. As evidence of such, you need only look at the mystery we faced in this room, now skillfully unraveled. The argument is as circular as the coils of rope. I think perhaps we might need to give Mr. Sholmes the usual helping hand. I'm sure with some minor corrections, the Great Detective's great deduction will lead us to the truth. Yes, you're right. And we must do it quickly, before Enoch Drebber gets too far away. If you're ready, then let us resume. Enoch Sholmes' logic and reasoning spectacular! Oh then, Mr. Sholmes. It's plain to see that this room is in complete disarray. The bed, the table and chairs, the lamp, everything is upside down. Almost as if every item in the room had until recently had been happily positioned on the ceiling, before falling straight down onto the floor. Every item on the floor was on the ceiling. Are you suggesting that? Indeed. Time out. I just noticed this because I was busy reading the text. I just noticed this. Indeed, the key here is gravity. It would appear that the technology has at last succeeded from freeing us from the great pull of the Earth. 432583 was it? For the gravity in this room was reversed, and then suddenly restored to normality. Goodness. The inverted furniture clearly reveals the truth about the part that gravity played in this whole business. To think gravity could have been reversed in this very room, and the whole idea utterly enthralling. Only Mr. Sholmes could conceive of such an explanation. Well, the man himself admitted it was a scientific impossibility, so... Yes, you're quite right. We must completely discount the idea at once. Oh, that's unusually merciless of you, Mrs. Sato. When you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. The great detective himself said so, didn't he? While refusing to part with his dreams of anti-gravity devices. Yes, I suppose so. Well, let's see if examining this topsy-turvy scene a little more closely reveals some proof that shows exactly what the gravity of this room, was or wasn't doing. All the furniture in here is very conspicuously upside down, certainly. Yes, it doesn't really put you in mind of some sort of strange quirk of gravity, I admit. Ah, could it be that mini whirlwind passed through here, you think? I'm not sure that's much more plausible than Mr. Sholmes' explanation. Oh dear, saying the first thing that comes to your head isn't the way forward here, it seems. Very well. I wasn't expecting to find a pretty bunch of flowers in here, that's for sure. Look at that. I know. A slender little vase looks like it's about to topple at any moment, but the flowers are thriving. Somehow it makes you think about the fragility of life, wouldn't you say? To be honest, Mr. Naruto, something else about it made a rather deeper impression on me. Ah! Look, Mr. Sato. When everything seems to be upside down in here, this safe is conspicuously right way up. Have you noticed? Yes, that's true. But look more closely at the safe's feet. Ah, that's a lot of very large bolts fixing it to the floor. Think before you speak. That's what you wanted to say, isn't it? I put my foot to my mouth here. I certainly didn't say that. So we can examine the... Yeah, we can examine the chair.
Take that!
The upright vase clearly reveals the truth about the part gravity played in this whole business. Upon my word, Mr. Naruto, you surpassed yourself by completely turning my argument on its head. trying to impress your assistant here, perhaps? No one is trying to steal your spotlight here, Mrs. Sholmes, trust me. As you rightly say, it would appear at first glance that all the furniture in the room is upside down. This unassuming slender vase is standing keenly to attention. And unlike the large safe, there's nothing affixing it to the floor. And it's the exception that breaks the rule. In short, as much as it pains me, the gravity in this room was never inverted at all! But my deepest sympathies for your loss. Oh, poor Mrs. Sholmes. But the show must go on, so let us continue with our deductions. Now that we know this contrivance is not, in fact, an anti-gravity device, there remains but one possibility. You don't say. Someone deliberately turned over every piece of furniture in here. Which might sound obvious, but leaves one mystery very much unsolved. Namely, why would anyone choose to do that? Quite! And naturally there's an explanation. Yes, the reason why everything here has been turned upside down is because of the anti-gravity device. He's absolutely determined that this device must have something special something to do with it, isn't he? I'm afraid the lure of an exciting scientific explanation is too strong. Well, there's no doubt that somebody did this. Somebody turned all this furniture over. Whoever it was must have had a reason. I'm afraid nothing comes to mind at all, though. Let's look around and see if the answer presents itself. That's a coal-burning heater, I think, isn't it? Yes, it is. But it's not just for heating, you know. You can grill on it, bake in it, boil and steam things with it. It serves all sorts of purposes. It seems like having your cake and eating it too. Kind of like a heated kotatsu table with a nabe hot pot, a mikan orange, and a cat, and an elderly relative. Oh, you mean it seems too much? I suppose perhaps it does. But you realize only some of those things on your list are edible, don't you? Oh, it's 2 at the end. Look, there's something written on the other side of this armchair. Oh yes, safe 432582. Safe? As in safe and secure? Hey, just, how you doing? As in secure, lockable box, I think. Admittedly more likely. Well, there is a large safe bolted to the floor on the other side of the room, so yes. So you mean this number wouldn't let us open it? I wonder why it's written here, I wonder why it's written here, though.
Take that!
Yes, the reason why everything here has been turned upside down is because of the safe combination. Precisely. I believe, Mr. Naruhodo, that you had a very similar experience once, did you not? Yes, last year, when I bought a lottery ticket and noted the ticket number down on the inside cover of a book, just in case. That's it! For people for our forgetful souls at heart, and always make a written note of important information. FF14's on maintenance, so you got nothing to do? Ah. Just keeping the ticket itself safe would be more sensible, I think. And what, pray, happened next, Mr. Naruhodo? When the day of the draw came round, I'd forgotten which book I'd written a number in, and had to turn my room upside down to find it. Ah, that's it, for people are forgetful souls at heart and always forget where they noted things down. Not if you always note things in the same place. I actually won the second prize, you know. But I couldn't remember which magazine I slipped the ticket into. I had to turn... Thank you, Mr. Naruhodo, but I believe I proved my point now. Which is that a very similar scenario has clearly unfolded in this room. Finding himself required to access the safe document of this room needed the combination code. You remember that he'd written it on the underside of a piece of furniture, but forgot which one. Leading to the state in which we now find the room. Yes, Mr. Drebber overturned all the furniture in here in a desperate hurry to locate the combination code that would unlock the safe. So then he tried to open the safe to find the documents, or the blueprints of that machine to burn, basically. Now, let us consider the next conundrum. What was our engineer friend's aim? Indubitably, the greatest clue we have to explain his actions is above our heads. Yes, yes. How is it possible that there are footprints all the way up there in the ceiling? A question whose answer will lead us neatly to the truth, my dear madam. The gravity being reversed? Dude, it's legit. How else can you explain all the furniture being put upside down, the footprints on the ceiling? Duh. And the reason there are footprints on the ceiling is because of the nearby skylight. Well, if a change in the direction of gravity can't explain it, then how did the footprints get there? Yes, I feel as though that particular mystery has become even harder to solve. I can't think of any other way to explain it at all. Oh, life was so much simpler in those halcyon days when gravity could be reversed. It was minutes ago, and those halcyon days never existed in the first place. Well, I suppose we must simply put our faith in Mr. Shums and observe the area in more detail. Putting our faith in Mr. Shums is what gets us into these situations in the first place. But shoe. It's hard to believe, but there's a shoe up there, look! Oh yes, and there are more footprints on this little balloon too. Perhaps the shoe was thrown up there and became lodged, don't you think? If so, then judging by the number of footprints, it must have been thrown up several times. How would there be anyone throwing shoes up at the ceiling though? Oh dear, that's beyond me, I'm afraid.
Take that!
The reason there are footprints on the ceiling is because of the nearby shoe. And on closer inspection, there are clearly footprints all over the balloon as well. In other words, their aim was never the skylight at all, but the balloon. But for what purpose? Oh. Wait, I guess he couldn't reach it and wanted to boot the balloon out of the window? But then he kept missing? Or couldn't hit it far enough? A green balloon. Huh. That seems somewhat familiar data. Oh! It was a piece of the green balloon's envelope that Mr. Naruhodo and Iris found at the scene. And inside the green balloon that Master Gotz claimed he saw above the stage when the incident occurred was the second birdcage, the crux of the whole instantaneous kinesis deception. You mean to say, if we assume the balloon in here is a model of the one used on the day, there's a strong possibility there may be something may be concealed inside of it. Something our absconder was desperate to retrieve before making a hasty getaway. But the balloon's out of reach. Hence why he resorted to a projectile, namely the shoe. Ah! Most probably Drebber intended to tear a hole in the envelope by assailing it with the shoe. How his efforts were thwarted when the shoe itself became a prisoner of those lofty heights. Oh dear, we desperately need to examine that balloon. If only there was some way we could see inside. You may recall that I found this in the room earlier, which I believe... Oh my god, all this deductions make me thirsty. You may recall that I found this in the room earlier, which I believe offers a solution. The rope. To reach the intended destination, what better tool than the rope? Sholmes makes everyone thirsty. Mr. Sholmes has managed to bring the deduction back to the rope. Alright, I have to admit, that was clever. So we just throw the rope up to the balloon and then pull it down to us on the ground. Which is much easier said than done, I feel. And could take us a very long time as well. True. Perhaps we need a more surefire method. In fact, we already have one, of course, don't we? Well, obviously, it's the trophy.
Take that!
To reach the intended destination, what better tool than this crossbow? That was found at the scene, in fact, and in all likelihood belongs to Mr. Drebber. The man had only brought it away with him that day. He could have avoided losing a shoe at such a crucial time as this. So, shall we? Your curiosity is deeply stirred, no doubt, my dear fellows. What is it that Enoch Drebber has hidden inside that balloon? What the? A waxwork? Indeed it is. A waxwork head inside a metal mask. A mask that is shut tight and fastened with a strong and impenetrable lock. So we can't see the face inside, that means. Oh my god, more. Oh my god, of course they lock it up. Just a moment. This is the head of the waxwork model. Of a waxwork model. Does that mean? Oh goodness. I see you joined the dots, Mrs. Sato. Excellent. Ah, of course, a headless waxwork model. The case of the abducted, Madame Tuspel's model that you largely solved. It was only the head of the killer that was still missing. Indeed it was. But I believe Madame Tuspel's will now have to settle her sizable account with me. This, as you have now surmised, is the head of the infamous professor. Yes, but why is it here? This conclusively confirms my suspicions. The man responsible for stealing the professor from Madame Tuspel's and returning its son's earlier today was none other than Enoch Drebber. This is incredible. Professor Harebrain's case and the waxwork abduction they're inextricably linked by Enoch Drebber's workshop. No, that's not. I don't think that's how you pronounce it. What appears our logical pleasure cruise has come to an end, my dear fellows. All that remains is, yes, to speak with the architect of this adventure. The architect? You mean Mr. Drebber? As it seems quite impossible that he escaped via one of the skylights. Obviously, the man must still be here in this room. What? His location should be abundantly clear. If you simply reflect on the journey we made together during this deduction. Enoch Drebber is right here. Somewhere in this room. So, Mr. Naruto, will you do the honors? Yes, of course. Mr. Drebber's hiding place must be the... Well, it must be the wardrobe. You know, I want to say the safe, just for shits and giggles. Because, like, okay, he puts himself in there, but it's so small and cramped. Look at all that mess in front of the safe. Yes, plans and accounting ledgers. Almost as if somebody was in a hurry to empty the contents of the safe, in fact. If you need to hide, there's no better place than a wardrobe. I stand firmly by that. Ah yes, you had some experience of that yourself a year ago, didn't you? Won't find him in there, mark my words. He'll be curled up into a ball, trembling and angry. In fact, my own hand is trembling just thinking about making the discovery. Never mind, Miss Naruto. He could be hiding somewhere else, you know. In the cupboard! This looks like to be a cupboard for cups and saucers and the like. Ah, an ingenious hiding place. Oh, is it? Well, when you say cupboard, you automatically think of cups and saucers, don't you? And the club engineer knows that, so you never look for him in there because he's not crockery. Though sadly, it does seem to be full of only crockery. Personally, I still think he might have escaped via one of the skylights. You hear what Mr. Sholmes said? The man must still be in the room. I'm afraid your opinion might put you at loggerheads with the great detective, Mr. Soto. Sometimes a man must stand up for what he believes in and fight. Oh, well in that case, I'll leave you to it. Into the safe!
Take that!
Before we gain access to this back room, we heard noises from in here, which tells us that the engineer was still in the building at that point in time. He was in fact searching for the combination to his safe. My joke deduction is right. Look, the wardrobe is too obvious. We've been there and done that. The madman will lock himself in his own safe. And pressed for time, he made no attempt to right the furniture that he overturned in the process. From which we can deduce that his search for the combination happened very recently indeed. In summary, Mr. Enoch Drebber is, at this very moment, inside the safe. Thus conclude Herlock Sholmes' great deduction of this topsy-turvy puzzle. Elementary. So, Mr. Naruhodo, I think perhaps it's time we ended this game of hide and seek. Don't you? By opening the safe, you mean? What else? Let's see. The combination was 432 582. I knew that. All right, here goes. Yeah, he had a thing inside to 11037. You found me. What? All right then, sir. Mr. Enoch Drebber, I presume. Correct. You better start talking. You tricked Professor Hairbrain with that bogus machine you built. And you should have to explain the theft of the waxwork from Madame Tusples as well. Whilst I would be delighted to answer your many questions. Personally, I would advise that you deactivate my little parcel first. Deactivate your parcel. I refer to, of course, the time bomb. I left it in a most prominent position. Oh! I see. Stunned silence. You're all gearing up to die with me then. No! Mr. Sholmes, with only 7 seconds to spare. I was too close to comfort. I got one foot in the grave already. Are you trying to help us get a kill or get us killed? Mr. Sholmes' deductions can be completely life-altering, can't they? This fucking game, dude. Well, my dear fellows, that was a close shave! The resemblance to an anti-gravity device is really quite startling, I must say. Anti-gravity devices don't exist! Whew, I wouldn't push it, Mr. Sharms. Badge! It might surprise you to learn that I'm actually a lawyer from the Empire of Japan. I detest lawyers. They wield so-called special powers in an attempt to grind down our freedoms. Yes, let me be quite clear. I detest lawyers very much. Any chance two negatives make a positive? Nothing but the crossbow. Is anything else here? Birdcage? Not even a photograph of himself. Not even at the trophy. Not even at the helmet. Okay, that was a stretch, but whatever. What happened here? What on earth happened in here? You found me, haven't you? No need to screw me down any further. Everything in here is precisely what it seems. Yeah, we'll be given a thorough going over. Don't you worry, Trevor. What fails to click with me is how you were able to locate my workshop. That I was not expecting. When I heard whistling from the other room, I knew it was time to bolt. Whistling? Ah, that would have been me. Oh. For some reason, I woke in fine fettle today. No words, just tightly squeezed chips. Clearly, I must have a screws, though, as I couldn't remember the combination for the safe. And another one loose, as I couldn't remember on which piece of furniture I'd written it down. We also found a rope over by the wall. Yes, I'd hoped to escape through the skylight, sadly the rope was too short. So, then I set about searching for the combination code to open the safe. And burning the incriminating blueprints, don't forget. Regrettably though, you failed to retrieve the head from the balloon among the rafters. And after that, you hid yourself inside the safe. Having first set this parcel ticking. Well, I had no intention of being nailed by the police. Not a death wish, have ya? I'm right beside a ticking time bomb. Please, why do you suppose I chose to hide inside the safe? It's no ordinary safe, it's specially designed. A dynamite explosion won't leave a scratch on it. So in fact, the safe was the only safe place. Sean! Precisely. But once you climbed inside, you wouldn't have been able to get out again. I invite you to look more closely. The safe is fitted with a handle on the inside to allow the door to be locked from within. Ah, so it is. I'd always intended to blow this place to smithers, in any case. I just wasn't expecting uninvited guests to come along and screw up my plans. Do you mean to say you plan to blow us all up? No. That was unforeseen. What do you mean? Most people run, you see, when they see a ticking time bomb at their feet. Ah. I calculated the time required for retreat to a safe distance, and set the device accordingly. But your seemingly endless discourse here threw a spanner in the works. Is something wrong, Gregson? Do I have something on my face besides the usual eyes, nose, and mouth? I think we have a fairly good idea of what's been going on in here now. What about the 2 incidents you've evidently been involved in recently? Professor Harebrain's instantaneous kinesis experiment at the Great Exhibition, and the waxwork model you stole, which this head belongs to. That's no ordinary head, you know. That's the head of the professor. Clad in a mask with a lock so strong, I'm unable to open it safely to reveal the killer's identity. I've been considering carrying it around as protection. After all, that's enough! Shit. What's going on here, Gregson? I'm sure you're aware that I have sole jurisdiction to investigate here. Yes, well, there's a ticking time bomb right there. Dr. Sith again. So the forensic investigation team are here. And you know full well this engineer is a key witness. Why are you allowing this lawyer access to him? Because we need information for the trial so that we can actually get down to the truth of the case and seek out proper justice being carried out not only by the prosecution. Dude, why the fuck can't they let lawyers, but then the prosecution gets the fucking, like, privilege of getting the crime scene? If Lord Strongheart knew of this, you'd be finished. And you lot, leave at once. Ah, my dear madam, there's no need for such a threatening tone, I assure you. After all, that's no way to greet an old acquaintance. Is it, Dr. Sith? Hello, Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes knows Dr. Sith? If it's protecting the machine next door that's causing a sour expression on your face, you're quite misguided. It's really nothing more than a shell. Get out! But of course, we'll show ourselves. Shut the door. I see you haven't softened it at all. Mr. Naruhodo! Yes. It would appear that our delightfully entertaining investigations have run their course for today. But, Mr. Sholmes, let us leave this place in the doctor's capable hands. I said get out! Now! All of you! Your presence here is not required either, Gregson. Understood. But I'll just say one thing before I head off. If it wasn't for this lawyer and his companions, we'd never have found this place. And the whole workshop would have been blown to bits. There was a time bomb set in here. And that this lot disarmed. Inspector. Something giving you a chuckle, has it, Drebber? Ah, so sorry. Didn't mean to offend. You're quite right, of course. You did disarm the time bomb, didn't you? Yes, you did disarm that one. Huh? What are you... That one? You mean... Oh no! It was an hour later that we heard the news of the enormous explosion that ripped through the experimentation stage at the Great Exhibition. Professor Harebrain's invention and all of its secrets were blown away forever. Bruh. Because they need to update the autopsy report at the end of the trial. Oh my god. Bro. Oh my god. Holy shit. Oh, we only. There was a second one. Also, my chair is making so much noise right now. Oh my god. Alright. But I will have to leave Great Ace Attorney 2 here for tonight. It's already 4 hours in, and we'll be here for many more getting through this trial. So, because it is past midnight, I'm not going to stay up until 4 or 5 in the morning to finish this. So, I will continue this tomorrow.